Hello out there. Welcome to the No Shit Cast. I'm your host, Matt Frazier. We've got a hell of a show going down in the studio tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Sort of our inaugural event, in a sense. We did have Anthony Hamalainen in here in the studio, but that was the old setup, the old format. So this was with the new arrangement. And so who better than to bring into the studio to help us launch that off than fellow podcasters from Thought Dump Podcast. Yeah. We have Mr. Kenny Schaefer in the house. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing excellent.
And Greg Frank sitting over there.
How you doing?
It's our first time, actually, not first time meeting, but I think we've been in a couple classes together. We figured out, right?
Yeah, it's been a while, but I've never seen us in class rolling.
Yeah.
Jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Yep. Hey, Devlin, do me a favor. On his microphone, which I think is on 3, turn the gain up about another 20%. Yeah, that's the top knob, the one all the way at the top on number 3, the yellow knob. Yeah, turn him up, his gain.
Let's all go to the top
tip
knob
top,
tab.
the top knob, the one all the way to the top.
Is that the one? Hello?
Yeah, it's all the way at the top. Whichever one's all the way to the top knob. Okay, yeah, turn that up. Yep. Keep going. Go ahead.
Is this good?
That's much
Does this
better.
sound better?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Man, that's got to be a name for a tavern, the Top Knob Tavern.
Yeah.
We're going to figure that shit out, though, right?
Yeah.
We'll make a sound engineer out of you yet, Bubba. It's like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not prepared for this. We just make this shit up as we go anyway, man. Also, my co-pilot for this evening's festivities is none other than the Grey Wizard of Historical Knowledge himself, Mr. Eric D. Smith. How are you tonight, Mr. Smith?
I'm doing really well. It was a rough D&D game, but I'm here.
Yeah, he comes into the studio tonight, folks, and he tells us that he threw his back out playing Dungeons and Dragons last night.
Dedicated.
Hardcore.
It's some sort of method acting going
Parkour,
on.
man.
What the hell's that all about?
You just got to show people what's going on sometimes when they look at you like they don't know what's going on.
So figure this out for me here. There's a scene involved, I'm sure.
Sure, yeah. There was a room, and the room was 20 feet wide, 80 feet long. They were entering in at one end of it on a door, and on the same wall at the far end, 80 feet away, is another door they're trying to get to. 20 feet this way, 80 feet that way, right?
Are you the dungeon master?
Yeah. And after 10 feet, there's a 5-foot wide
sweet.
pit that spans the whole room. So it's 20 feet wide,
Okay.
5 feet long this way. And then there's about 50 feet and another 5-foot wide pit that goes all the way across the room. Then the door. Inside the pit is rusty razors and needles and stuff.
Of course.
The
Yes.
room is completely...
Needles in
Yeah.
Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, pretty
Rusty
much.
needles. Wow.
Right.
Good
Dark
Lord.
Elves put them there.
Yeah, if you fall in, you get like 2 to 12 points of damage, and you get a super tetanus.
Super tetanus.
Yeah, that you die in like 2 to 5 rounds, like 2 to 5 minutes, unless a cure disease
Holy
is there,
shit.
right?
Okay.
You can't teleport in this room. You can't levitate. You can't dimension door. You can't fly. So
Convenient for the dungeon master.
Yeah.
All
Right.
of those things. Yes,
Yeah.
I can see that.
So when they figured out that they couldn't do any of these things, right, they decided they were going to fly. They didn't know that they couldn't do all these other spells, right? So the first thing they did is on the parapet of the door frame, they cast fly, and they each grabbed the person and took off. And I said, but it's pretty much like this. And I got up and I stood up and I'm like, and just kind of threw myself at the concrete basement floor and landed and realized I'd been on the planet for 50 years.
Yes. and this is not a padded floor,
No,
right?
and while I've been doing this since I was 12 years old, it didn't feel the same.
And this, something,
No.
something didn't work right there, huh?
No, I even had some abrasions here.
It's a hell of a
Anyway,
demonstration.
yeah. So I was a
You
little
really
sore.
commit to your art, Mr. Smith. I have to say, man, that's dedication
D&D
right there.
can get hardcore.
Yeah.
Who knew,
Yeah.
right? Dungeons and Dragons injury,
Yeah.
Hey man, they fell into a pit with rusty razor blades.
and it was
It's far worse for them.
and super tetanus.
And
Let's not
yes,
forget the
that's
super
well,
tetanus.
somebody died.
Someone did die of the super tetanus.
did.
It was crazy.
Damn, lost the character.
Yeah,
Start over.
they rated him for his girdle.
His girdle.
Yeah, of giant strength.
You
Of
died,
course.
but I'll take your shit.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So this is kind of what we do. We get Eric to talk about shit.
It was last night.
That's what happened.
So, talk to us about Thought Dump podcast, right? So I know this has been a labor of love with you for a while. We sort of started relatively close to the same time, right?
Yeah, I think you were like close to a year before we were.
Oh, maybe
we
so.
Started. Yeah.
Yep.
Because I know that you had some issues starting off at the beginning,
Mhm.
like trying to, obviously, we went through that as well. We had Brandon originally that didn't work out with him, and I really couldn't. I didn't feel like I was able to carry it solo, right? I recorded a few of them. I didn't like the way, it sounded to me. I work with Greg. I've known him for a long time. If you listen to the show, you can tell we have a good time.
Yep.
And
I thought you could have did it solo.
well, I appreciate
I had
that,
faith
but-
in you.
Yeah, it's much funner with somebody else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, whatever the show idea was when we had Brandon on board, that's just gone pretty much, So now we just go in there. I think at the beginning I had too much focus on, like, I kind of wanted to be this way and didn't really let it grow by itself, So ever since I brought Greg on board,
Right.
The response has been awesome. The downloads have stayed consistent since, like, we started, so that makes me happy. And, I hope everybody enjoys listening to it. So
Well, it's definitely it's real. I mean, that's the thing about it is there's no doubt that you guys don't have a very long and deep friendship with each other. That's for sure.
First time I met the man, he had a 40 ounce.
this
in his
fucking
hand.
Here we go. All right, no, this is just kick back by the fire. We're gonna listen to a story.
Happened to be in a band at the time. He was as well, and pulled up to his house and had no clue who this dude was. Heard about him. It's like, yeah, this dude's all tatted up. And, I'm bigger guy. I'm thinking big old stocky dude. I'm like, damn, who am I meeting right now?
He's like, look at this
So,
fat motherfucker.
Nah,
Yeah, he said it. You guys heard it.
words never came out of my mouth.
Yeah, big motherfucker.
like the Rock, though.
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
I mean, there was
yeah, maybe mentally.
So we go up to his house, and we're walking up to his front porch, and he's already sitting outside, and I can't remember if he had 1 or 2 40 in his head, but I remember it was a
one. It
King
was one.
Cobra.
King Cobra. Oh hell yeah!
Yeah.
I know you were on your third one by then. Though. He
And
was
they're like
pretty,
$1.40.
yeah, back in the day, getting wasted.
Yeah. It's been like 10 years.
Yeah,
2 fisting 40s. God damn, dude.
Dude.
yeah. It was at that point though I knew that we were going to be good friends.
Is that right?
Yeah,
I don't know
was
who
like,
this
I like
dude
this
is,
guy.
but I like him already.
Yeah, he's like, look at this fucking loser out here drinking beer on his mom's porch 3 in the morning.
So it was like a bromance type
Yeah.
thing emerged
Yeah.
there, huh?
I had never had a 40 until that point.
Is that right?
Yeah, honestly.
Now look at him spiraling.
You've been such a great, terrible influence
Yeah,
on
exactly,
him,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So,
Nah, he's been a good friend though.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
Solid.
now who got whom into jujitsu, or was that a mutual thing with you guys?
Well, for me, it was like I kept telling him, "Hey, you should get into this. You should get into this," because I didn't want to go by myself.
Sure.
And then he started before me, and I was still being a bitch. Like, what'd you go like 2 months before I started going or something like
I
that?
can't remember the exact time, but
Yeah.
I remember I was trying to get you in there because it was terrifying. I won't lie, the first time,
Yeah.
just because you don't know what to expect, especially in a different type of atmosphere.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was awesome the first time. That's what I wanted him to understand. Is
Yeah.
like, man, it's sweet.
Yep. And you have recently made it back, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the thing which I kind of think I fully expected was everybody was just like, "Oh, hey, welcome back!" Like it was
Yeah.
no issue at all,
Yeah,
right?
the people that I had already met, they're like, "Oh shit, what's up?" Because it's
Yep.
been like 2 years. I'm glad they remember me, and they're still all so nice and supportive. And the newer people, I still maybe 2 or 3 people in morning class that I haven't really been formally introduced to.
Right,
But,
yeah.
everyone else that I've met new. It's been supportive as
Mm-hmm.
well. But it's still rough because it's that whole new white belt type thing. So sometimes people aren't giving you enough resistance where you want it, and then some people are just going too fucking hard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've seen the
That's
class
rough.
has been popping lately.
Yeah.
Oh, I've seen it on Facebook and
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah, it's been packed. Crazy. Yeah, we're he and I are going. We're going back. Or when I go back, he's going with me.
Yeah.
So I got my own training partner
Yeah.
that I can utilize over there on an as needed basis.
That
You guys
was
have a
my
date
goal.
yet?
I was going to start in February, as you know, but
Yeah.
I think it's going to be this Tuesday.
Hell
Tuesday
yeah.
night,
Nice.
though. It's really about his work schedule more than anything right now. So we'll either do night or morning classes based on when he's available, when I'm here and can do it, because I can move my work around too, kind of a lot easier than he can.
cool.
You'll have to let me know how those classes are.
The night adult class. I can't wait. So it's going to be real interesting. But the other kind of cool thing about doing those interposing classes with the way that 10th Planet runs their training schedule is you can catch the same thing twice. Like if there's something you're sort of struggling with, you can go rep it again. Which is kind of cool. If you play this, you can sort of game the schedule to strengthen up on stuff that you might want to focus on more, that kind of thing.
So I think they offer 2, 4, 6 classes a week now.
It's
I was gonna
nuts.
ask you
Yeah.
about that. You said they added a couple more.
Yeah, because it's the morning and night on Tuesday and Thursday. I do believe Wednesday is a night class, and then they added the Saturday class as well.
Oh, so we should probably point out that the reason we're talking about this is because this is where I met you guys, right?
Yeah.
Is that something you'd be interested in too?
I'm a lover, not a fighter. I'm looking for my first stroke by 60. So.
He's got Neanderthal genes. He's going to outlive all of us.
But I appreciate it. It's something I should be interested in.
Yeah.
It's
Really fun.
I saw it termed, and I've said it myself. Murder yoga is what it is.
Yeah.
And it's nothing like it. It's it's why I've said also that it's something that I know I'm going to do for the rest of my life. I just don't know specifically when I'll be doing it.
Yeah.
But I'll never stop doing it.
Yeah.
It's
definitely addicting in one way or another, I feel.
Yeah. I was losing sleep my first couple months there, just thinking about all the shit.
oh, for sure.
Yeah, just laying in bed, it's dark, and I'm just left with my thoughts, and I'm thinking about, oh man, how do I,
It's a
pass guard? How do I fucking
Yeah.
do an armbar? It's so ridiculous.
It's a game of chess where the consequence is you die, right? And if the other person's like,
I'm not letting go.
I'm not letting go,
Yeah.
you're dead.
Yeah.
Like it's that kind of, I think because of the consequences, it becomes like that, right? Where you can get so obsessed with it, you can't sleep because someone gets you in something. Anthony strangling me with my own fucking arm every class for months, And if I can learn to just defend that one thing,
And it's crazy. You'll never know who does it, too. It's like any guy on the street.
Could be, yeah.
You see this dough ball walking down the road, you're like, oh, look at that out of shape guy.
Yeah, I'm
And
going to
here
mess
I
with
am.
him.
Yeah. I've combined, I have I would say close to a year of experience.
Right.
Even though I took the time off, I'm rusty as fuck now, but I still,
But it's still more than
mentally, I still know a little bit,
That's more than like 99% of the entire Western population when you get down to it.
Defend yourself if you had to.
Yeah.
I'm in good company.
No, I don't know about all that, man.
I can't do
out
much,
of
but
shape,
you
out of
guys.
training, out of shape, out of training, out of shape, out of training, never trained.
I feel confident in you guys.
It takes.
If anything, there's some meat to block you.
That's it. Yeah,
Look, he's digging again.
That's right. See how he is?
Yeah.
I was talking about myself.
That's a jealousy of prosperity right there, baby. That's what that is.
That's just more to love.
That's it. Now, are you past the sore stage?
Yeah, pretty much. Like 2 weeks back in, I would say I was able to keep up with all the warm ups.
Doing warm ups again, and
didn't really have to take as many breaks to catch my breath because when you're already out of shape and you're shrimping and Heismaning across even a longer floor now, your fucking abs are on fire.
Yeah.
So a couple times I had to be like, I need a fucking break right now. I feel like I'm going to pass
puke.
out. Yeah. I almost did on my second day back, I want to say. Almost fucking puked. I was feeling a little nauseous, and that's one thing you learn. And when I say that I took the break, that whole like 2 years or whatever, but when you come back and you have that mental knowledge, you know, not to kill your fucking water, because that's just going to build up
Oh,
in you
right.
throughout class.
And then you're
get
dragging
nauseous.
a ball of water around
Yeah.
the side of you, too.
Yep. And then, you know, you don't go as hard, you
Yeah.
know, not to try to fucking take somebody's arm from them when they're just trying to learn,
Mm-hmm.
have a good time, you know. And I brought this up to Greg. The last show you guys did, I was a little offended because you said
Controversy.
you guys didn't want to sit on either of our laps, and here we are.
Do you blame us?
But what I'm saying is,
Uh-oh.
you and I, personally, you and I have laid on each other.
Oh, my
sweating
God. Yes, we
in
have.
front of a group of guys.
Yes, yes.
You
This
know.
is true.
Yeah,
This is
and he didn't want
in
to sit on my
tights.
lap. Yeah,
in
yes,
tights.
exactly.
I
Yeah.
wore sweats for the occasion.
Oh, already?
Yeah.
Holy
yeah.
cow. God damn it.
But
Yeah.
we were willing to do that to have you on the show for the whole show
Yeah.
in a more intimate setting than in front of people.
I heard that and I was ready.
Yeah,
Forgot the single.
Oh, my
so-
God.
we can do this in the basement. It's okay.
That's right. By the fire, too, right? Get the bearskin rug out. We can turn this thing around, boys.
Hey, stop recording. This is sounding good.
Smash cut.
Yeah, my hat's all
Edit.
crooked and shit.
I'm just still waiting for the blue pill to kick in.
That's it, right?
Yeah.
Damn it. It must be old or something. I don't know. I bought him from a kid.
Yeah.
I'm going to join you guys.
Wrong blue pill. I'm getting dizzy.
Yeah.
Well, I just meant I'm going to have my cup on the table. I'm going to have my cup on the table, too.
Oh, I'm going to have to throw another log on the Yule log on the fire back here. I got it in there. It's probably hot as fuck now, though.
Yeah. I'm just glad I can trust you guys enough to have an open container around
Yeah.
here.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Does he knock shit over all the time or something?
No, I mean as far as, you know, shit
Roofies.
getting dumped in there.
Oh, you're not getting roofied?
Yeah.
Well, you do jujitsu, man. That
Yeah.
sex appeal goes up like 1,000,000%, right?
Shit, I'm getting some definition back. You
That's
see my
it.
legs. Yeah. I walk past the mirror in tights like
Ooh,
I'm looking at
goddamn,
myself
huh?
a little bit.
That's right. Own that
Start
shit,
the
man.
pump.
Put some
Yeah.
strut, lift the
Exactly.
heels a little.
Yep.
I mean,
Walk
not
by
that
on
I've
my
ever
tippy
done
toes.
that.
Yeah. And we all know how the you know, the spats, the tights get everything all compressed. It looks like there's even more definition.
That's right. Yeah, it
Yep.
does.
Oh, yeah.
The jelly roll definition.
William Shatner
Yeah.
knows about that shit.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can see everything.
Yeah, he had like girdles
Oh,
and tights and.
that's why.
Yeah, he
And a
did.
toupee too.
That's right.
Had to look manly.
Him and Travolta.
Dude made a lot of money though.
Yeah.
I was reminded of you guys the other day. I stopped by the.
Did it hurt?
No, I was it brightened my day.
Good.
Actually. But so I was walking through a dollar store. That's where I get my water at.
Yeah.
And I'm coming up to the front counter and I see this guy coming through. He's wearing a Star Trek shirt. It's got the metal logo on it, but he's wearing regular jeans.
Yeah.
He's got his blonde hair all brushed back, and I'm like, what the hell is going on? Right now? You know? And we're in the middle of Newark. There's nowhere for a convention around here. Like, this is everyday shit that he's doing, you know?
What color was it?
Awesome.
Yellow. It was
Yellow.
yellow. And it had
Whoa.
like the silver swoosh on there.
Yep.
Yeah.
So there's a for real sort of lifestyle cult. Is it a cult where they actually live like the Roddenberry and they wear the uniforms
call it a
every
cult.
day?
I get emails for Trek dating.
Trek
wow.
dating.
Yeah, like dating themed services dealing with Star Trek. I get emails all the time.
How do you sign?
believe
How did
it.
you get signed up for that?
Yeah.
Well, I signed up for a lot of Star Trek stuff somewhere.
Apparently.
I must have signed up for it. I mean, I don't know, but it's interesting, so I keep it. It's just funny as shit to
If
watch it
there's a
come up.
farmers only, I'm
Yeah.
not surprised.
There's a
Star
Trekkers
Trek.
only.
Yeah, right.
Farmersonly.com. Mostly white.
Yeah.
I
Anyway.
only want to date Star Trek people.
Yeah.
Find some nice big white bitches.
Indeed.
Oh God, this is going south
Prime
quick.
market.
Thank God.
Prime market for that.
Yeah, there's a market for everything apparently.
Yeah, for every kink's got to fit, right?
Probably, yeah.
I was just saying that I was in the Navy for 4 years. Okay. And that's all I'm saying. What I was willing to do to get you guys in here and get on the show, up to and including.
Yeah. Where'd that stereotype come from, by the way? Just because you're out to sea with a bunch of guys?
Yeah, because forever, the only people that were allowed on ships were men. So
And since they're called seamen, I presume
there was
two steps
another
behind was a
connection.
joke.
Sure.
yeah.
And listen, it's not unjustified.
Yeah.
Okay, you stick any group of people on a boat, they're gonna fuck, and
That's true.
some of them are gonna fuck. Okay,
Yeah.
and I can tell you. You guys want to hear a sea story? This is a good one.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Fucking so weird.
I love hearing about shit.
Yeah.
So this was on the America, the aircraft carrier, the America. Okay, we had when I was on the boat, we had mixed companies, meaning we had equal groups of men and women working in the squadron together. Now we didn't sleep in the same berthings together. We didn't use the same bathrooms, if you will. They call them heads, right?
Gotcha.
But other than that, we worked together hand in hand. So I was in and served in the fully integrated Navy, but we were out on the America, and the XO, that's the second in charge of the boat, the executive officer of the boat, walked into a fan room, and there was like 6 couples in this fan room throwing fucking down. Okay, and it was all hetero. This wasn't in this particular case gay sex.
Yeah, no mix and match.
But it was like a full blown like fucking orgy, like going down in this fan room.
Passing around.
And the XO of the boat is the one that caught him, caught him, and they were all from the squadrons. So and when you're on a ship, especially an aircraft carrier, there's people that are in charge of the boat, and then there are people that are in charge of the airplanes, and some of them do very similar jobs, but they don't really cross each other's plane of existence. Okay, so they were all part of the air wing, and these folks were you guys would probably understand it as court martials, called captain's mast. Like within 45 minutes, and they had them on a C2 headed back to the beach.
Damn.
Like they were like they dropped the hammer of fucking Thor on these people, man. It was like, holy shit. So you're talking like 24 people, or no, it was like 12 people that were like, he captain's masked them on the spot. The skipper, captains, it was like, you follow me. Took them to the skipper. They
fined or anything? Or?
Oh yeah, they lost rank. I'll guarantee it. Yeah,
Wow.
but they were off the boat within like an hour and a half. They were gone. It was like,
get him on a dinghy.
son of a bitch. Okay, so note to self: don't fuck on the boat. Okay,
Stick to masturbation.
not a good idea. And it was funny because it was actually people from different squadrons.
Oh wow.
It wasn't like it was all like people that were in the same squadron. Okay, it was people that were in 2 separate squadrons that's coupled up here.
Is the fan room like the air?
A fan room is just an air handling room. So it's like equipment that supports the function of the boat kind of room. So they're noisy kind of spaces, but and there's filter systems and stuff in them, but people don't really go into them a lot. They just check them periodically. So I've never heard the story of how the XO of the boat knew to go in this fan room to catch them doing it. But I think it was they had probably done this at some level already, and we're getting away with it. And when you stick a bunch of very healthy, physically fit, fucking motivated young people together, they're gonna fuck. I mean, it's
And I'm sure
Science.
12 bodies in one room stinking it up.
Oh my God, right?
Walking in there, you're gonna smell something.
I tell you though, man, it's this is the way it was put to me. Anytime the air handling system on the boat goes out, all you can smell is feet and ass.
I know we're out at sea, but there's something fishy about this room.
Yeah, there's something different going on here. No, they kept the berthings, is what they call them, right? Very cold. Like very fucking cold. Like 60, I swear it was like 64 degrees all the time. So it was, you were sleeping under like
Nice.
shit tons of blankets. I was constantly.
Yeah, see,
So-
I like sleeping in a cold room.
I never had to deal with that much because I was attached to a squadron. I wasn't like, so I was in. It's funny. I was in the Navy, right? But I worked on airplanes. Like, so people were like, "Oh, you were in the Navy. Tie this knot." I'm like, "The fuck."
Yeah.
I can chain it to the flight deck, but I'm not fucking tie a knot. Aren't you in the Navy? I'm like, yeah, but I worked on airplanes.
Tie it like a shoelace.
Shows you what the public's relationship to Navy people are. They tie knots.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
What do they do? What do they? I don't know. They tie knots.
That's why he was screwed for Boy Scouts. Because with me as a father, it's like, weren't you in the Navy? Teach him how to tie knots. I don't know how to tie knots. I wasn't in that Navy.
Yeah. I was also in the Boy Scouts. I can't tie.
Can't tie shit.
Yeah.
Can tie your shoelaces,
yeah, exactly.
huh?
That's about it. Yeah, double knot.
I was in long enough to shoot guns, and then I was like, oh,
Yeah.
sorry, guys, I got to go. They tried so hard to get me back into that organization.
You got to shoot guns?
You're
Damn.
really?
Yeah, in Boy Scouts. Yeah.
What state?
Here?
Here? Damn.
Yeah, it was supervised and stuff.
That
but-
that turned you off to Boy Scouts? after
No,
that?
I just waited until after we shot the guns, and then I was like, man, I don't feel like doing all
Oh,
this
the rest of
extra
this is a
stuff.
hassle
Yeah.
for,
Yeah.
for this, right?
Yeah,
so I'm out.
Just wanted to shoot some guns, so I was like, I'll go in for a few months and check it out. And
And get to
yeah.
shoot the guns.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you were done with that whole pledging and all that stuff, huh?
Yeah, for the most part.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm done.
And now it's in question whether they'll even be around.
Oh yeah, they're in deep
Oh, yeah.
trouble. You guys haven't seen that news.
They're
It's
bankrupt.
yeah.
Oh, wow.
They
I
should
know
have
that
sold
they
some Girl
had,
Scout cookies, man.
Yeah.
I know they had issues because they weren't letting girls in or something.
Yeah, I
like
thought that's
that,
what it
but-
Well, they had already changed that. The thing that's hitting them is Pope or Catholic Church like sexual assault cases.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll do it.
That's hitting them like boom, boom, boom. Because my limited understanding, and again, I participated in this with my sons and never saw anything like this. Okay, so I think my experience with it has been wholly positive.
Yeah.
without question. So I can't speak to that at all. I don't have any specific knowledge. But it appears to me that what they've done is there's been some systemic issues that has been hushed away and paid off, and then the perpetrator was able to go and perpetrate again.
Damn.
And
Yeah,
I mean, what do you?
Yeah.
At some point, someone's, you know what I mean?
that's
So
a
it's like,
lawsuit, too,
yeah,
in
and
itself.
Is it like how the Catholic Church does? They just kind of relocate?
yeah, it's what it's looking like. There's been some stuff that's happened like that where the organization knew about it, but instead of, but because they hid it away, the perpetrators were able to go and redo it again.
Yeah.
Without being graphic. It's just fucking mind numbing. And it's like, yeah, boy, that's gonna be expensive.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
there's
Got to be some accountability.
there's got to
on
be
that one.
yeah.
That's
What do
one
you-
of the scary things, like growing up and you realize how far back in our human history that shit goes. Like pedophilia and stuff. That's
Yeah, it's a very perverse kind of function of the human's condition, and
Yeah, I mean, I was in for a short period of time, but I
Yeah.
didn't see anything like
Yeah.
that when I was in it.
Yeah.
I always
it all
remember my
seemed
parents
wholesome.
being there. My parents were there the whole time, so
were they?
yeah. I don't ever remember going. I remember going camping one time, but my mom and my dad were both there the whole time. I don't know if that was like a requirement, 'cause there were a lot of parents there. If they were just like, I'm gonna go ahead and stay with my
Stick
kid.
around and
Yeah.
see what's going down here. Yeah.
So I was just a little boy, looks are deceiving now, but
I was a tyke. I'm swearing.
yeah. Oh yeah, I could have been blown away by the wind. I was fucking thin. Just looked like, I was all head, what I mean?
You were still seductive to a pedophile.
Yeah, exactly.
They were looking at
Exactly.
you like
I had
a,
young, smooth
a piece
skin.
of meat.
Yeah, that's easy pickings over there.
Yeah, exactly.
He's the slow
Yeah.
one in the group. I'm gonna get him.
Yeah, just run by and snatch him up.
A little run.
Oh my god.
And that's why they're bankrupt.
So anyway, the Boy Scouts are bankrupt.
Yeah.
Or going bankrupt. Yeah. Speaking of boy, I'm gonna put another log on the fire.
I had my Star Wars action figures. I didn't need any
Need anything else? Yeah, but we did too, right? You guys all had to have like action figures.
Yep. I had wrestlers in a wrestling ring.
Oh, really?
Yeah. and my sister, she had Barbies and had the car, so I'd put the Barbies and the wrestler in the car and ramp it off shit. Yeah. And my mom let me do a firing squad one time on the Barbies with a
Nice.
BB gun. Yeah, 'cause my sister had all the Barbies. And I was at the age now where it's like, oh, now we get CO2 BB guns.
Right.
You know?
He's probably speaking with a German accent.
Yeah. I had to actually unlearn that.
True nature's starting to kind of come out,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah, young little white boy in a not very diverse neighborhood.
With a pellet gun and Barbies.
Yeah. I think we had like 3.
Still.
Yeah.
Show and tells at school.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
the hell, dude?
It was a good time.
I would have came over and hung out.
Yeah. I remember this one time I sniped a bird.
Some Napoleon complex shit bubbling up in there,
Yeah.
man, right?
They saw that look in my eye and had to take it away.
Is that what it was?
Yeah. But
You shouldn't have guns, Mom.
I sniped this bird one time off of a telephone pole. And it was like one of those things where I was just pointing and shooting at it. I didn't expect to hit it because it was a good distance away. And I pulled the trigger, the BB went, and then I saw its wing flap and it fell off the telephone pole.
Yeah.
I thought I was fucked. Like, I thought somebody saw me just kill this bird and I was going to get my ass whipped.
Okay.
And I just sat there hiding behind the edge of my grandma's house, like just waiting for somebody to come out. And then I walked over to look at it, hit it right in between the eyes, so I guess it was quick.
Oh, damn.
Oh, at
So it
least,
didn't
huh?
suffer, yeah.
I'm lucky.
And the
Yeah.
reaction on it, though, was so delayed. It was like a 2 or 3 second reaction before it flapped its wing and just fell. It was it was traumatizing for being a little kid. Because I had to say I was probably 8 or 9.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So you don't have a history of killing
Well,
animals
I mean-
and pets and things, dude.
that's when the ball started rolling.
Do you,
for me.
Kenny?
That's when I knew I could be selective.
Yeah. After that, I was like, let me find these birds.
That's it, right? It was on after that. And then it was house cats, yeah.
Soon to transition.
And then it ends up with someone in a well and lotion. You know, it just...
Yeah. I don't
I'm
know
just
if I should
scared
be
it's going to be
admit
me,
that.
honestly.
Yeah. Being a white male.
What's that?
He knows my secrets.
Being a white male admitting to shooting birds when I'm a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, most people are just thinking, typical at this point.
Yeah. And this is
Well, anybody that's from around here goes, yeah, that makes sense. I've done that.
yeah.
Me, it was a 22.
Yeah.
Yeah. All my buddy stood and let me lay it across his shoulder, and I shot him off a power line. It was a barn. What do they call it? Barn swallow. One of the birds that are always in our barns and stuff. And it was the same thing. It was like, but in hindsight, first of all, the animal dying did the same thing. It traumatized me, and other than for the sake of food, I've never personally killed an animal since, right? But I have killed, like, we used to raise rabbits to eat them and chickens to eat them and things. So we prepped a lot of our own meat. So there was a process by which we found the most humane way to sort of get that over and done with, so that we could, get them ready to freeze up. But
Pluck them while they're still alive.
well, that's that's the best way to fuck it up. No, but it is kind of interesting that that adage about cut the chicken with its head cut off. That's a legit thing.
Yeah.
Like that run response for them is muscularly. It's like instinct form.
We'll run around for a good 50 seconds.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, it sucks
tape the
chasing
head
down a
back
chicken
on.
with no head.
But the point was, but the point is that, for sure, the like that was the last time that thought ever crossed my mind, because I was like, what did I do this for? Because now I have this dead animal. Now what do I do?
Yeah.
Like, but I think to get there, you have to cross that bridge once, and it's, it made me feel really weird afterwards.
Yeah.
It's a lot like masturbation.
Yeah.
No, honestly.
No, it's
I
nothing.
shouldn't have watched that.
Yeah.
The people that connect it to the masturbation are the ones that are the problem.
Yeah. Watch out for this motherfucker.
Wait a minute, I think we've
Hey, I haven't killed that many animals.
that many, and the ones I killed deserved it.
Yeah, but how many have you
It
killed
was
while
for
masturbating?
science.
Yes, that's the question.
It was for science.
I said in the did I say it in the
You said
previews?
nothing. There was no warning at all.
For the previews of this, that this is probably going to get weird. It was going to be a lot of fun anyway.
That's all you know is weird.
Yeah.
So you guys on your show are really good at, you have a rapport, you know, and it comes, and then the thing is that that's one of the things that really comes across immediately when you listen to your show. Oh, these two guys really know each other.
Yeah.
And you guys have a dance, you know, you have a rhythm to, and that's really tough to have. But it makes a huge difference in the show. But there's a thing you guys do that's there's like a certain level of bullshit, and then this tripwire goes off, and you pounce on each other. Okay, now it sounds a lot like brotherly love, though. Am I wrong about that? Does it? I mean, is that what it is? It's like that.
Yeah, it's been like that basically the whole friendship.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you gotta.
Well,
Kinda.
I call it more of an acquaintanceship. But
Acquaintanceship.
Yeah.
Is that what?
Yeah. Just at first, I mean, I wasn't really like that as a person, but always being around him and constantly getting jabbed.
Ribbed.
You gotta
Coming back
give
to
it
that
back.
influence.
I just got to the point where I was like, well, if I hurt his feelings, I mean, he knows I love him.
That's
so,
right. Yeah. Hopefully he knows.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
The place that I grew up, you know, bunch of teenage kids. I grew up with a bunch of people my age, and then a few kids that were a couple grades older than me. And when they put in the skate park in Buckeye Lake, everyone kind of just gathered there. It was just a roast session all day. So you either were the target or you joined in, and then you learned to get real fucking sharp.
You had to get
know,
thick skin,
yeah.
or you just couldn't show up, kind of thing. Yeah.
So, but it was all out of love. Nobody was ever like shitty to each other. It was just a roast, you know. And so, when I got into the band, we were in separate bands, but once I started hanging out with a different group of people, I was still fucking on it.
Yeah.
And I could see that it was kind of rubbing some people the wrong way, so I had to dial it back, and it made me feel bad because I'm not doing it, you know, maliciously.
Right. Right.
You know, but Greg's got a great sense of humor,
Yeah,
so I
almost
can.
dropped you in the beginning.
Yeah, he thought he could. He thought he could, but you know,
Hey, Devlin,
I let him think that.
zoom in on that so we can actually see that.
I almost went over and got the mouse wheels. Like that.
Yeah.
Um,
on the just go and just hold down the control key and roll the mouse forward. You should be able to zoom in. Nope. See, pick the tracks. Zoom in, zoom in. Why can't we see that? Because he selected whole. Eric, go fix that.
Because it's technology.
There we go. There we go. Now scroll up and shrink it now so we can see both tracks. There you go. Thank you. I'm telling you,
Ouch,
we're
my OCD.
gonna make an audio engineer out of you yet, man.
Make some money.
there was this time I accidentally had mine on loop, my Reaper. We were going for like a half hour and realized
didn't
it
know
was
it?
only doing
Oh,
5
yeah.
minutes. And
Out of
I was
whack.
like- yeah, and I was like, oh, you got to
Now-
be fucking kidding me.
Can you see the waveforms? Right? So use those gain knobs to adjust it so everybody has the same level. That's kind of what you do. So you have to just watch while we're talking and figure out whose mic is on right now, and then you can adjust the gain. See, mine's perfect. See there? Isn't that cool? Behind the scenes type shit here. Hey, we said it was the inaugural, so some of this
Yeah, I'm
is
cool with it.
We are the guinea pigs.
Yeah.
that's right. You guys get it. That was the
Yeah.
point. Was like, you know,
We are the pigs of Guinea.
not that you don't, not that you guys don't count. You absolutely count.
Yeah.
Wild
Yeah.
guinea pigs run off the side of cliffs, don't they?
Wild
I mean-
guinea pigs run off cliffs.
I think so.
Here we go to killing animals again.
Yeah,
How
he
do we-
loves that shit.
Only a few. Only a
Lemurs
few.
do. I don't know about guinea pigs, but lemurs do.
Yeah,
Don't,
he's even
uh,
trying to cover his lap up a little bit.
He's got
Yeah,
this
Illuminati.
ironic, this really interesting, ironic Darth Vader. What is that? The Da Vinci
Yeah,
Man
the Da Vinci.
man thing? Yeah,
Not 100% sure the exact
Good stuff.
name.
I had the one that had the guitar player. Has that for a while. I think it said Marshall on it or something, or Fender. Might have been Fender, but anyway, I don't know if that matters. Anyway, back to killing animals. You were talking about guinea pigs committing suicide.
I think, or some type of small animal gerbil type thing.
No, they're called lemmings.
Lemmings, that's what
Yeah.
it is, yeah.
Do you ever play the video game?
Nope.
You ever heard
Didn't
of
even know
it?
there was a video game.
Yeah, I think you can still get it on those.
You run off a cliff?
Is that the
what you do is you were taking these lemmings and you would change. So they would come out and they would run like through a maze type thing. It was top down. And if I remember this right, and they had like obstacles, and you had to adjust shit so that the lemmings would go the right direction and not fall to their death.
Yeah.
So as you start the game out, you you start out. It's like you're on Earth, and eventually you start to go underground. More and more levels, and you play the game, and you start to figure out where you're sending the lemmings to is hell.
Oh damn!
As you go further into the game, you start to see like,
that's funny.
Wait a minute, I'm sending these little fuzzy critters because after you complete a level, you go to the next level and you start with your lemmings again. And the idea, and you got to you start with a certain number of them, and the idea is to get one of them all the way through. But as you're testing shit, you lose a couple here and there.
Yeah,
you know, you got to like.
Satan's at the end of the game.
That's right. You're sending, but what you're doing is you're figuring out how to send them to hell.
Now, is there any guilt at the end of this when you find out? Like,
I don't. Shit. I never played it to the end.
Oh, okay.
I was actually never really any good at it either. But this was back in the beginning days, the 286, 386 days of computers.
Gotcha.
And I think the game was called Lemmings, but I don't think it went much further than that. Like it was not something. It was like a novelty, kind of like a Centipede, or it was like a novelty. Tetris
sounds like a Flash game.
Yeah. You think it would exist on, but I've seen games like it now, but it's always like get the water or send the lava. It's always
PC.
Browser based.
PC.
Politically correct. Yeah. New. We're not killing fuzzy little critters anymore. Where are you going?
I'm just rearranging my
fuck. He's leaving.
Body.
He's relaxing over there.
It's all very new.
I feel much better now.
Do you? Yeah, your back's messed up from that hardcore D&D session.
Yeah, that's right.
Is this the most guests you've had on?
At a time?
Like in studio, other than like the phone calls and stuff?
Think so.
I did all the kids once. So
yeah, I remember that
I
one.
think that's the same amount, though.
I thought that was a really good episode, by the way.
That was fun, wasn't it? Getting them on to talk about stuff. I told a story on the last episode about my baby sister. And she's obviously listened to the podcast because she's went and commented on Facebook about it.
Yeah.
She's like, wait a minute, I got to clarify some shit. You know?
That's the worst when family's like, hey, man.
It's funnier the way I remember it. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
And I watched it. She experienced it, though. But she crashed a motorcycle. I don't know if you heard it. There's the story where she crashed the motorcycle doing an Evil Knievel across our backyard.
Oh, wow. Damn. I haven't heard that one yet.
She took exception to some of the details. Well, not exception. She felt I left out some of the key details. That makes it look like she's way more of a badass.
Yeah.
Not that she wasn't a badass. It was pretty cool, but she had to expand on that a little bit. So, all right, whatever.
I held on to it longer than what you said.
Fucking dude, she pulled it off for like 40 yards.
Yeah, damn.
First day riding a motorcycle.
Oh,
That's
damn.
nuts.
I mean, it's an epic story. She crashed at the end of it.
One of those
violently.
Hold the accelerator down.
Yeah.
Presumably.
Yeah.
She was like probably 8 or 9 or maybe 9, 10, 8, 9.
Oh wow, that was a ride.
And she was on, and it was a YZ80, and she dumped the clutch down the back 40. She went, and bam, right into the fence. But it pissed me off because she went whipping by on the. I couldn't even do that. I was like, "What the fuck's she doing that?"
Yeah. Sounds like it's just pure fear. Just
Hey,
that's what, she was just holding on for her life.
yeah.
Bam! Right into the fence.
Isn't that weird?
You're okay.
Like as human
I was more
nature.
worried about the motorcycle.
Yeah. So I was thinking about this the other day, like, who invented crossing your fucking arms? Like, because so many people do it.
Like this?
Yeah.
I don't think it's invented. I think it's a natural reaction to try to maintain your core temperature.
Oh, okay.
Like, I think your body just does it to try, especially when you're cold, to try to keep from losing core. They teach divers to do that, to try to recover and maintain body heat if they're going to be in the water longer than they expected and shit.
Yeah.
So don't ask me how I know that.
But why were you thinking that?
Yeah, why were you thinking that?
Because throughout.
Sorry.
No, that's curious.
Didn't mean to answer your question.
No, you're
God
all
damn
right.
it.
You're all
Sleeps
right.
like that.
Because I thought it was just somebody getting bored of letting them fucking hang. You know? But yeah. So
I like that one better.
yeah.
That's
so,
what it is. This is fucking so boring.
So throughout my life, and this specifically relates to like little kids and stuff. But look, when you get scared and you just hold on, because
Yeah.
I've been in there. I was getting off of a dirt bike one time when
It
I was
took
in that
off?
same age, and I accidentally pinned it because I was getting off on the left side.
Oh.
So the ass end just swung out and crashed into the side of my grandma's trailer. And I'm just holding on to it. And it's just spitting up
Like, what the
rocks
hell's
there.
going on?
Yeah, my dad's like, let go, let go, let go, you know. And I know another kid. We were down at the skate park after they had just built it, and they're riding around this little mini bike. And I don't know how much experience he's had on it. His brother rode one of our tractors one time and crashed it into a boat in a huge field. So I don't know how the fuck that happens.
nice.
Anyways, I think it runs in the family.
It's a thing,
So
huh?
he's riding this thing, and he doesn't know what he's doing, and he gets scared and fucking pins it. Just smacks
Yeah.
clean into the back of this ramp. It moves the ramp, and he fucking just ragdolls into it. And I'm just like, dude. Like, what is it that just makes people hold on to that fucking
Freeze, yeah.
like ooh,
Yeah.
hair fucking blowing back. Next thing you know, you're fucking T-boning the ramp. You know, getting a broken fucking collarbone or something.
It's like
Fear.
your concept of how you lose all concept of I need to let go of the throttle.
Yeah.
Like that
Yeah.
conversation can't happen in your
Yeah.
brain.
Your brain's not telling your hand to let go.
yeah.
On our farm,
Oh, shit.
Grip it harder.
that same farm, that same dirt bike, but we were out riding through the fields and I watched a guy on a quad runner run himself over. That was a neat trick.
Oh, wow.
Like I'd never thought you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
He went over the handlebars in front of the quad runner, hit the ground, and the quad runner, which was still on the ground or coming back to the ground, ran over him.
That's
And
nuts.
then the ambulance came.
Yeah. Damn.
Probably some broken ribs there.
Sorry, I'm. God. You can tell when I'm thinking, can't you? Everybody becomes concerned. Like, sorry.
We
I was just
jousted on
thinking-
motorcycles.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't allowed to play with that kid anymore.
That's not what'd you use for the joust?
2x4s.
Oh my god. Nice and blunt at the end.
Did you guys remember the movie Knight Rider?
Oh yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Rutger Hauer, right?
Oh, that night, right?
Yeah, I thought you were talking
Yeah,
about
the
Nicolas
one with
Cage.
the one with the motorcycles, the Knights, where they jousted. It was a whole it was a movie. It's like a
No, yeah, it's called something else though, isn't it?
I thought it was called Knight Rider.
Can't remember now.
See,
But
we
I know
don't
what
we
you're
don't
talking about.
we don't have the wizard on the computer.
'Cause it had,
There's four of us. We'll have to figure that out.
It
That's
had the
gonna-
guy who played Joker in it, right? Keith Ledger, right?
A Knight's Tale?
No,
Knight's Tale, that's
nope,
what-
way
That was a
before
good
that.
movie,
Oh,
though.
okay.
No, this movie
Yeah.
was about like a group of carnies almost, or this traveling show, and they would go town to town, and they wore armor like knights, like medieval
Knight's Tale, right?
knights.
Yeah.
No, they rode motorcycles.
Yeah, like in A Knight's Tale. Right?
No, a Knight's Tale. They rode horses.
Did they?
Yes.
I swear I've seen that movie. Maybe I'm confusing
Yeah,
it.
and I'm pretty certain. Why am I going down this
I would
road? No
still
one's
watch
seen
that
it. We don't
movie.
need to get down this road. But we. Oh, I know why. Because we watched it. We watched it and thought let's go real slow.
was that as good as Megaforce?
I've never seen Megaforce.
Oh, but you guys check out Ace Hunter.
We looked this up on a show too.
Good stuff, man. So
There's all treasure trove, man, of like 70s and 80s B-roll level, like martial arts and action adventure superhero shows.
What's
Like
Megaforce?
it's like a superhero movie.
Is it
yeah,
Really bad.
but what was that guy's name? Bills Bosley or
like a Japanese
Oh.
type movie or like sci-fi original?
It's
Sci-fi
it's an
original.
American Western sci-fi,
Nice.
sci-fi
Yeah.
original. But yeah, the guy that was on Spin City is the mayor. What's his something Bosley?
yeah, Bill Bosley or something.
But
like
he
that.
was like super young then. But yeah, there's
But it's totally 70s, man. He's got like the blonde feathered hair and the 70s beard, and he's got the thing, and
Yeah.
there's never been a hero like Ace Hunter.
typical hero.
yeah, they really took the
Puffed
piss with
out
that shit.
chest.
Yeah, Charlie Sheen did one called it was a car movie. Did you guys ever see that? Where he dies and like becomes a car.
No.
I'm not sure. I don't think I've
Yeah,
ever seen
and like
that.
his spirit lives on in this like supercar, and he goes and kills all these people. It's
I'd like to watch them
really
break
bad.
down better than that, I think.
what's it called? The Vape or something like that. Not that vape, but yeah.
It ran on
Or
Tiger
the
Blood,
Wraith.
right? The car ran on
Yeah.
Tiger Blood.
Oh,
for sure.
Tiger Blood meth. Yeah. So guests.
Yes.
So you guys you've had some musical guests that now you had the guys that did the theme song for your show.
Yep.
What's the name of the band again?
Hope Dealers.
Right. Okay.
Yes.
And they're like a Midwest band, or because they're pretty, or are they?
They're from Newark,
Okay.
where we're from. The guitarist Chris, I've known him since I want to say I met him in 7th grade, and we're both 30 now, so
Yeah.
it's been a fucking long time. But yeah, they met Eddie, who was the vocalist, primarily a rapper at the time,
Okay.
and they just kind of came together as like a jam band. One of our friends who was big in the our community around there musically, his name was Andy Hall. But after he died, it kind of like brought everybody a lot closer musically. So now there's a bunch of groups just between all those guys that have their own different style within it. And they put out their first CD, The Artifacts, and you can find them on iTunes, Spotify, all that stuff, Hope Dealers. So I heard the song Trouble in Paradise, which is our theme
Right.
for our show.
It's a great tune, man. It's really
Yeah,
hooky.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
like as soon that's the way the song opens up. I just think it's got a really nice feel to it. It's upbeat. It it feels good. And one thing I like about it, for anybody who hasn't heard it, it's kind of their first CD is kind of like a blues rock jam type deal, and then there's more of like the rappy style vocals
Right.
over it. The newer stuff they just put out is more like even more mellow. It's all laid back, but nice.
What was that?
That's neat.
There was this fucking.
Oh, that was neat.
Yeah.
I was like, break time. Fuck it. We're out of here.
Yeah. The thing I like about their band a lot is what Eddie brings to it vocally, because he's got, whether or not you agree with the things that he's saying specifically, sometimes it gets a little political, but it's a lot of like, brain food. Like it gets you thinking on the shit that he's saying. It's
Right.
not just like, your regular flashy car, fucking partying type
But then
stuff.
it's not.
Yeah.
It's hooky like pop, but it's not. It's
Yeah.
not pop centered to be sure. Then, huh?
Yeah, like it's really cool. And this newer stuff, like I said, it's even more mellow. So you're not getting that upbeat fucking rock feeling from it, and it's still awesome. Still sounds good.
So that's when you listen to Thought Dump podcast, it's got a very well, obviously you pick the music for a reason, but you put it together pretty much. There's a structure to every show. So it has sort of like a kickoff theme to it,
Yep.
and that kind of stuff. And then you do a lot of announcements pre-show,
Yeah.
right? So what made you why that format? per se?
The pre-record their intro. And
Yeah,
then
with the
song.
intro song, and then doing the and doing like announcements.
Well-
Like what? I guess what I'm asking you is, so what influenced you to structure the show the way you've structured it?
So a lot of it is obviously like the whole Joe Rogan thing, 'cause that's kind of how he sets it up. But people who just watch him on YouTube probably aren't familiar with that. It's more of the audio.
Right.
He'll introduce the guest and any announcements that he
It
has.
makes sense. It's kind of like you call it like the Rogan format in a sense,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Not that but I mean, yeah, he sort of pioneered it.
Yeah.
I mean, I get where you're coming from for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely one of
and-
the most popular, I would say.
And
Yeah.
and because of that, it's sort of expected that when people listen to those types of things, that's what's going to happen. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, it's like this is how they're all set up,
Yeah,
because like you're saying, he sort of pioneered that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, you're all right. And it was also one of those things like, because I like how you do the show too. Like you come in with the music, you introduce it, but it's one of those situations for me. Like I don't want to fuck that up, coming in hot like that, and then I sound stupid. So that
Yep.
way, if I go home and do it, and I don't like the way it sounds, I can re-record it again. You know what I mean?
Oh, I understand. Okay.
Yeah, and
Okay.
when
because your show sort of picks up and very much almost feel like you're walking in and hearing two friends having a conversation.
Yeah, and that's another thing.
And I like that.
Yeah.
It's in a sense, it's more intimate that way. Or it feels like you're just sort of connecting.
Yeah,
Like,
and another reason why I wanted to come in like that is if somebody who has not been on a podcast before, you just talk a little bit beforehand while it's already recorded. You let them know, hey, I'm going to hit record, but once we start getting comfortable, I'm going to kind of fade in right there, and so they don't feel like there's any pressure.
it's much nicer than the way I do it, huh?
Well, I like the way you do it because we hang out beforehand and get comfortable. That's what I liked a lot. It's just like my third or fourth time on this show.
Yeah.
And we always hang out beforehand, get a little bit. Not that I'm not relaxed when I'm over here. I'm comfortable being over here. A lot more comfortable behind the mic now.
Yeah, yeah.
Chill.
Done it a lot more, huh?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. But yeah, it's pretty much and I wasn't sure how I liked the intros doing it beforehand, because when Brandon was first on, we tried to throw it back and forth on the intro, and we didn't really get very good feedback the way that happened, and so from then on out, it was like, well, I'll just record it and I'll go home and do the intro and, set up how I know the person, if they've never been on before, how long I've known them, where I've met them, and try to plug them, anything they got going on, and then just fade right into it.
It's an alarmingly simple process, isn't it? Once you sort of understand how to do it. But once you hit that record button, shit has to come out of your face.
Yeah.
Something has to be said, right? And then
Shit, there's sometimes we'll be right in the middle of a conversation and I'm just hit a wall and I'm like,
blank.
Yeah, what the fuck was I gonna bring up? And then I gotta go in and throw in a fucking little cut. I mean, we haven't cut anything out, but sometimes
You've
will
taken
take
out spaces.
Some dead space.
Yeah, we used to do that too quite a bit in the audio versions. Yeah.
It was more or less the earlier shit. We don't really hit that now, cause
Well, that's where having a partner is so key, that you have a rapport with, because there's a lot of times I can look over at him and just be like, I can give him the right look,
And I'll be like,
and he knows I'm like, I ain't got a fucking question, dude.
And I'll be like,
Help.
hey man, to your point earlier, there's these votive statues in the Minoan history that predate Greek people,
Right?
Yeah.
And they're all a little bit different sizes and shapes, and they all have their arms folded like this. But my teacher, who was asking what we thought, if these things were that people looked at them before they made the votive figures, or if they just made them. And I said, well, you could probably tell, because biologically speaking, when you fold your arms like this, there's a chromosome that decides if you're putting this arm like this or this arm like this.
Did you know that?
I did not.
No, I didn't.
There's a ratio.
Your genes determine that.
Yeah.
Same with this
So-
versus this.
I believe it, because one's
And-
more comfortable than the other.
Yeah.
Right, definitely. One feels extremely awkward.
Yeah.
It does, yeah.
Yeah.
And so there's a ratio that you could follow, and if you look at these votive statues and you was to count them up and they matched that ratio, they would be able to tell if they were actually looking at people. So if they were representative metaphorically of the people in a religious sense, as opposed to just being used for some other purpose, so that you could define what their use was. And so he got on that shit.
He was like, Eureka!
I said,
I thought it
See
was
what I
the
mean?
left brain, right? The dominant side. I thought that
I think
was
that's what it is.
Oh, okay.
I think it has. It also, the way you cross your arms or fold your fingers, there's also a predisposition to whether you're right or left-handed too. I think.
all I know is about the arms.
Sounds right. I could be making this up too, but it sounds
Hey,
right.
that's how we do it. So
Is that right? You just make it up.
we just ballpark it.
Right.
Just let them know. Hey, if you want to find out, look it up. We're
That's
fucking
well.
stupid.
Yeah.
I
Get
think I
better
heard
about
this.
that.
Yeah, if you're trusting us to make life decisions, you in big fucking trouble.
The thing is, he doesn't know if I'm going to lead with some ancient bit of knowledge like that, or if I'm going to say something about killing a rooster at my grandfather's house when I was a kid. You know,
It's always a fucking adventure.
it is.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not hot at all. Let's see if I can do this without setting the whole fucking house on fire. Ta-da!
Make sure that flue's open.
It's open.
Be a fucking smoke shack in here.
Yeah, we've seen what that looks like.
Yep.
And that
Devlin's
happened
over there going,
live stream,
Yeah.
right? It was
Yeah, he was
streaming.
live streaming on Twitch.
Oh wow.
When I smoked.
They're like, hey, you guys need to get the fuck out of the house.
Yeah, people were trying
Your
to tell him
house
to
on
flee.
fire?
You guys should have better alarms.
Yeah.
See, there's just physics is a bitch, man. It's always right. You know,
Yeah.
no matter how much you don't want it to be.
Yeah.
And there's a physics involved here that if there's no heat going up the chimney, no matter how much smoke you put in there, doesn't fucking matter until you get heat going up the chimney. Because that's what drafts all the shit out. And, well,
Heat.
damn it. So it basically got so smoky, it smothered the fire out. Thereby, there was no heat. So then it just smoked
Just straight
more, but
smoke.
none of it was going
Yeah.
up the. So I'm like lighting newspaper on fire and fucking throwing it in there, trying to get. And once I got it drafted, it was okay. But
As Twitty says, there's nothing cold as ashes after the fire's gone.
Conway Twitty,
That's the guy.
all hail Twitty City.
Yeah, we got that whole album of his in Russian too.
Oh,
Wow.
Yeah.
that's old school stuff.
Dude,
Cose
God,
cante, show distrasu,
Sounds
He
like
was-
Klingon.
raffinata.
Man was laying some serious pipe in his.
Oh,
day.
yeah.
That's right. Oh my God! Right, he was like country Elvis, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was huge.
Yeah.
And I never had a clue who he was until I was stationed down in Tennessee. And there's like a Twitty City.
Oh wow.
You think I'm kidding?
I'd like to visit it.
You can Google that shit, man. There's
Yeah.
like a Twitty City. But
Popping with old bitches.
Yeah.
he was. My dad loved Conway Twitty, though. Like but I didn't connect with my parents' love for country music until I was an adult, like in my 30s.
Yeah.
You know, and then I was like, oh yeah, I remember this now. Oh, I get why they liked it. They were fucked up.
Yeah. And then the difference between that and like modern day pop country is just so ridiculous.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
I love old
Yeah.
country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
The
much
way
more
it-
depth to it.
It was it was like redneck blues. It's like redneck blues,
Yeah.
or hick blues. You know, there is
Yeah.
a difference.
Honky tonk.
There's you know the difference between hick and redneck, right?
I don't.
Rednecks have gun racks in their trucks.
Oh, okay.
Hicks don't.
They drive on 24s.
Right.
Now the South will attack us.
It's a subtle distinction.
Yeah.
But there is a difference. But it is a subtle distinction. Gun racks and rebel flags is redneck, but Appalachians mostly are hicks.
Oh, gotcha.
You follow me?
Yeah.
Like people think Appalachians are rednecks. They are not rednecks.
Yeah.
They are hicks. There's a difference, and you got to be proud of that shit, man. That's our people, right? I don't, not you, right? You're some fucking West Coast freak
yeah,
or
he's
some
from
shit.
California. Yeah.
Hey man, I got my German and Russian background. That holds me down.
Yeah.
Keeps you grounded.
Yeah, because when I listened on the podcast, you're a Midwesterner from what age?
I moved here from Vegas when I was like maybe 10 or so. So I've been here for the majority of my life at this point.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it was definitely a change, coming from the city to cornfields and a bunch of mud everywhere.
Yeah. Mud.
Yeah.
If there's one
Yeah.
word that sums up southeastern Ohio,
Yeah.
it's mud.
Quasi elemental plane of mud.
Raining. I was just like, what is this shit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He thought he was gonna die. He thought a tornado was coming for him.
Oh yeah, it was one of my biggest fears moving here. 'Cause,
Eaten by a tornado.
You hear about
Yeah.
the stories. All we got was earthquakes. So
Which is different.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's sort of like, what the fuck was that?
Yeah,
And then
which,
it's over.
which
Yeah.
scares me because I've never experienced an earthquake. So I'm sitting here thinking like he is with tornadoes, like it's gonna open up and just swallow me. You know?
Like from the movies and shit.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
Hanging onto the edge,
Yeah.
volcano, lava in the bottom.
Yeah.
I've felt two since I've been here. And the last
Oh, damn.
one was like 4 or 5 years ago. I was at Wendy's going through the drive-through.
I think that there's some sort of direct correlation now. I could be wrong about this, and I might be pissing people off, between the amount of fracking, because we're anywhere in like that Pennsylvania, Ohio
Yeah.
sort of area, West Virginia, there is a shitload of fracking going on, and I think it's now they're also starting to make connections to an increase in geological activity.
We get mostly
coming from
P
that.
waves, and you guys get mostly S waves, as I understand it.
I have no idea either.
Yeah.
So elaborate.
Sound, I don't know.
P waves are shorter in frequency and tend to be more dramatic because they propagate through rock at short distances, and S waves go through softer rock at longer distances and last longer and don't shake quite as violently.
Okay. When you say we,
The East Coast versus the West Coast.
oh, okay.
We being the East Coast.
Okay,
Where
and
there's a
him
lot
being
more-
the West Coast?
Yeah.
You are now officially, from now on, the representative of all things West Coast.
I speak for the West
Okay.
Yeah, for
Now,
all the West Coast.
We got to
This will be
talk about some
convenient.
shit, man. I guess.
Yeah, I'm not happy either.
I would first of all, I would like to know how Hasbro got Def Jam Records.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah,
mystery.
answer that for us right now.
That's
A lot of money.
Yeah.
There's some sort of, that's got to be a sacrilegious somehow, right?
Yeah.
There's a tome, there's
Oh, no,
something.
you're fine.
There's got to be.
It's the Illuminati.
I've heard, when he told me that, it was like, wow, that's mind numbing. Like, how's that happen?
Yeah.
That is a mystery,
Fucking-
honestly. Like, what do they want in that business?
Tupac
You know?
Monopoly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They'll have their own, one side will be Death Row.
Gang Risk.
Right.
Yeah.
It's Hasbro, right?
Yeah.
So
Hasborg.
yeah, they own everything. We will assimilate you. Yeah,
You got Tupac right next to Power Rangers.
that's the thing, right? You could literally have Tupac music
Yeah.
being used to promote a
A
cartoon.
miniature game
Yeah.
based on gang wars.
Or
Yeah.
I wasn't
They
going there,
got
but
Star Wars miniature games. They've got Axis and Allies. They've got Star Wars or something like that. They got some other game too. But they could have like gang rap, like urban warfare and stuff.
gang rap,
Yo, check this
You
shit.
could play
Yeah.
Tupac.
and you could play Tupac and Biggie.
Yeah.
You know, we probably should stop talking about where somebody gets offended. I don't want to be on anybody's list.
That
I
ends
love
up,
all rappers. Please don't kill me.
Well, I speak for the West Coast, so we're good.
Are we
Yeah,
good?
yeah,
That's
yeah.
right. We got a representative. Yo, West Side
I don't think they like it either. I don't.
anymore. Anyway,
I don't.
Yeah.
No, I don't think they don't. I don't think they like Hasbro having
the
access
rights to all
Yeah, I
that
don't
stuff.
think so either.
It just
wouldn't
seems wrong somehow.
Yeah.
Like, is there no justice?
I'm making fun of it because I don't like it,
For sure.
so I don't think
Yeah.
they would be offended or anything.
Hasborg.
Hasbro.
It is.
They have all of Milton Bradley's games. They have all of TSR's games. They have all of
Oh, that's
Wizards
right.
of the Coast games. They have Star Wars license.
So this is a deep hurt for you, isn't it?
I'm just saying they got stuff.
Like Activision tries to get its hand in
Fists and
everyone
everything.
else.
EA, Electronic Arts, owns everything now.
Yeah,
Ugh.
that's easy for you to say.
No, I was going to say something else, and I don't remember what the fuck it was now. Kenny, go.
What, am I supposed to start spitting or what?
Oh, bust a rhyme for it.
No, I don't know about all that. I'm too white.
Man
to the wrong
loves
plug, slap
DMX.
the road, or to
He's
the
the West Coast. He's the
Nah,
he's
this
the
man
guy.
loves DMX.
Nah.
Don't let
Is that
him lie
right?
to
Is that
you.
what it is?
Oh yeah, he's got the tattoos.
Look at him.
Yeah, they called me a walking jukebox before. Yeah.
I always say at the end of I say this a lot at the end of the show. I go, okay, let's rap, and then he'll go, oh, please. And I'll be like, no, that absolutely is
Yeah.
not happening ever. There will be no
Starts
Hey,
busting
rapping.
out
to
some
that-
Vanilla Ice.
Effect, one of the fans said that we should go with the one thing I wanted to try to do, so that you won't let me talk about.
On the air, yeah, we'll talk about it after.
But the fans want it.
You would think that there's no censorship on this show. There's a little.
Yeah.
YouTube's definitely got some policies that
They
are
sure do, yeah.
questionable.
And, generally, the only thing. Well, now, do you guys don't have like a topic restriction on your show? But I
really.
do.
Yeah.
And that, but so I kind of wanted to talk about it.
Three
You
or
guys.
four.
There's like nothing you guys won't talk about.
Well, it might seem like that because we do get a little rough sometimes, but we do put a fucking filter on it, and there's certain things like when the mics are off, we're just fucking ridiculous. You
Yeah.
know what I
Yeah.
mean?
So
Probably
that's
worse.
you being
yeah.
self-filtering is,
Yeah,
what,
yeah,
is what
yeah.
comes through on
Yeah,
the show.
sometimes we got to get back on the
Holy
rails.
shit, you guys are fucking brutal.
You should hear us at work. It's fucking rough.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
Yeah, most people nowadays probably wouldn't find our humor, as funny as we do. So that's why it's
Yeah.
nice to find people
Yeah.
that can enjoy the same
Yeah.
type of fucked up shit. You do.
That you guys laugh
Yeah.
about.
Yeah. And that's the fun thing about when I first brought Greg on board on Thought Dump is I didn't know what the hell it was gonna be like. Like
I didn't either.
yeah, when I was with
You
Brandon.
just hit the record button and went
Yeah.
with it.
Yeah.
I'm saying,
Oh, yeah.
man.
Yep.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're right. When I was with Brandon, we would like flesh out all notes and everything, things that we wanted to talk about. Which
So it was more scripted.
yeah, certain talking points. But like I said before, I had an idea in my head of what it should have been instead of letting it grow into its own thing, which is kind of weird now. Like, because our name doesn't really reflect the things that we talk about. I mean, a thought dump, we're letting our shit out, but I feel like sometimes when people see it, they might think they're coming into something that's super sophisticated, and they come in there and they're hearing dick and fart jokes.
Yeah.
And, you know,
Hey, we didn't say whose thoughts here, folks.
exactly. So it still kind of works out, but when I first brought him in, I told him he could say whatever he wanted to. If he wanted anything cut out, we could do that.
Yeah.
He's never asked me to cut anything out, not that I can think of. And like as soon as we started going heavy, I can't even remember what topic it was, but I was like, okay, it's going to be like this.
Yeah.
So then it just
It was like
its own thing.
must have been show number 2, because I mean
Probably.
even show number 1, man, was not stiff
Yeah.
by any stretch when you guys
Yeah.
first launched.
Yeah, because I think you came on at 5. I think we did 4.
Yeah, I
Then we
believe
took like a
so.
year hiatus trying to get shit together, obviously, but. It's been consistent since I've had Greg
Yeah.
on, which is something I absolutely love.
Breaks over.
Yeah. It's so much fun because like now we're doing this thing, the first thought, like how you guys kind of have the show question at the beginning, which we should have did. I wanted the full experience.
Do it. Who gives a shit?
Yeah. Let's do it.
I don't know. I'm not the host of this thing. Okay, I'm just showing up. So we had that initially.
And nobody sat on my lap. I'm a little pissed.
Yeah. I'm yelping after I leave this place.
1 star. Fuck you.
Yeah. So, I lost my fucking. train of
So
thought.
anyway, on the show,
Yeah, you call me
first question, show question, and you said first thought, right?
So it's something that I wanted to do with Brandon, but it was more or less going to be like he was going to ask one, I was going to ask one. Neither of us knew
What the other question was gonna
and
be,
it could
okay.
be any topic. It could be some current event, a random question or whatever. And then after Brandon decided to leave the show, I was like struggling to try to find guests, and
Yep.
and then like I'd be halfway through the conversation, then realize, oh fuck, the whole first thought. So we kind of abandoned that.
Yep.
And I thought it'd be a good idea to try to open that back up in the show with Greg. So we're at the point now where we can just hit record and go.
Right.
We don't need to do the fade in conversation. So now we just be like, hey, what's your first thought? Or
And just hit it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a confidence, right? You got, and it takes time.
Yeah, it was definitely different for me just because I had never done it. I had listened to some of what he had put out and some of Joe Rogan, but I'm more, I listen to music most times.
I'm more the podcast.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen. He
And
never
so,
listens.
Getting
You
with
don't even
him, it
listen to
was
this show.
definitely different. But it's a fun journey, definitely. And I'm glad I, decided to join it with him.
Yeah, there's there's definitely an excitement that once you kind of, hey, I can kind of do this. Like this may not be
Yeah.
too bad. I kind of enjoy this.
Yeah.
It becomes almost like a way to create something, like playing an instrument or whatever, like drawing or whatever. You sort of create this thing and then you put it out and go, look, everybody, love me, please. Yeah.
And you had brought up when you first heard Greg on the show, you liked because he seemed confident on the mic.
Yep.
And I think that a result of him being a front man in a band.
In a band,
Yeah.
sure. There's some
Yeah.
shit that translates there,
Yeah.
man. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, shit, most people wouldn't come out talking about the shit we talk about, just right
Right.
off the rip like that. And he's just like, letting everyone know this is who the fuck we are and this is what we're doing.
I used to say some fucked up shit on stage, too.
Yeah.
So it's
Oh
funny.
yeah.
But you guys know, when you have that partnership, again, like when I know if I can make him laugh, and he hates comedy, most of it, okay? So it's like when I can make him laugh, I'm like, yes,
Yeah.
because then I know people are laughing. But he's the most unintentionally fucking funny person I've ever met in my life. And he says it. He said this before. He said, it's true. I don't mean it to be funny. Like he's just like he doesn't get why people.
Truth is funny sometimes.
That's great. Though. It's all organic.
But you guys have that too. Sorry, Eric.
No,
but, you know when you have somebody you can, if you're on the mics with somebody and you can make that other person laugh, you know you got a pretty good idea that someone that's listening to the fucked up shit we talk about is going to also find it funny, right?
Hopefully,
So-
at least.
Yeah, that's the plan.
That's what you tell me.
Yeah, you crack me the fuck up,
Yeah,
dick
you make me
slinging
laugh.
gee guy over here. I'm gonna get T-shirts made.
Oh yeah.
Fucking
for
shit
him.
up in D&D.
Well, he's had a very checkered and interesting history of work and different things he's done, and then he's a legit historian. I'm talking about you like you're not here, so it's okay, honey. Just,
I love when people do that.
a legitimate, a degreed historian too. So
Nice.
I find the historical aspect of things, especially like pop culture, he can put this fucking shit in context in such a way. It gives you such a deep understanding of things. But his intimate knowledge of phallus is
polyphallacies.
and polyphallases and dicks and things like that is second to no human I've ever met in my life. Quick, dick fact. Go
That's
ahead,
a
show him.
skill.
So in Herculaneum and Pompeii, one of the reasons that the legendary ideas of orgies, like Roman orgies, propagated was because in the late 50s and early 60s, when they started excavating those where Mount Vesuvius had erupted, and August 24th, 79 AD, they dug out these stuff and they found all of these things that were called polyphalluses, and they would hang them like a mobile, like you would over a kid's bed.
They're partying.
And they were big penises with wings, and they had penis legs and penis tails and penis heads, and sometimes they were being ridden by penises.
Oh, wow.
And, like a lot of times Roman officers would bring home penises from the Celts and stuff because they would run into battle with blue paint
Scalping
on
to a
with
whole new
erections.
level, right?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah. Well, they would run into battle with erections and stuff, and it was like a sign of virility and good luck. So they'd bring them home to their wives.
Could you imagine
and
that?
hang them in their house.
show up on the battlefield and there's all these dudes with stiffies running at you. You're like,
You get killed by a guy with a boner.
that's
And then he
the
cuts
greatest of
yours off.
insults. Sorry, go ahead.
They even used to import urine from Belgium to brush their teeth with.
Wow.
It's that good shit.
And
Some man
yeah, they use their own urine to do their laundry.
Damn.
Damn.
I smell
Fuck
good
that.
today.
Yeah.
That's right.
I smell clean like ammonia. So clean.
Yeah, so ta-da.
That's awesome, honestly. That's
It's just-
awesome.
It doesn't help a whole lot in life, but
But I feel bad for the people that grind out those solo shows where they don't have somebody like a partnership with someone.
Yeah.
That's tough.
Yeah. I
That's
thought
not
your
easy.
solo shows were awesome.
Well, but
Eric coming on and Devlin, it's been awesome.
yeah, it's been I
Whole new
think it's
dynamic to the show.
and the show and we've talked about this a lot. Eric and I have talked about what this show was when it began and what it's becoming and what it became.
Yeah.
Has changed pretty remarkably.
Yeah.
Because Two's Company in show business would say Two's Company, three's a crowd.
Yeah.
And it's tough. Like you guys are easy because you do podcasting, so you know when to dip.
Yeah.
And let someone else have. But you get people. If you get 3 or 4 people who've never done this before, and you stuff them on microphones, man, it's just a clusterfuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like the Fight Companions. Joe Rogan's Fight
Yeah,
Companions.
everybody just yelling over top of each other. sort of.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm turning the volume way down. Holy shit. Okay, so Thought Dump Podcast. You guys have a website. You're on iTunes. Where
Yep,
can people download the show?
It seems that most of the traffic just comes from Podbean, but we're on iTunes. You can find us on Facebook, Thought Dump Podcast. The website, just www.thoughtdumppodcast.com. Instagram at Thought Dump Podcast, and on Twitter is Thought Dump Pod and the numerical number 1.
Okay. Now, any thought of doing of adding on like a video component? I know you guys sort of do. You're not even on YouTube, right? You don't
no.
distribute to YouTube
That's
yet.
the weird thing is like sometimes Podbean will put it on YouTube, sometimes it won't. I can't figure out why it's doing
Something's
that.
broken or something
Yeah,
about it.
so I figured it'd probably be best to just wait until we do a video format anyways.
So you are
know.
considering adding that on
Yeah.
at some point. Okay.
Yeah, it's one of those things like we just got to get like the studio kind of set
Yeah.
up, so it's not just a dimly lit room with an ottoman and a beam matcher, you know what I mean?
Well, that's the beauty of doing this, right?
Yeah.
Is that it's really attainable,
Yeah.
and a lot of people could be doing it. I'm grateful that not as many are, but it's
Yeah.
we all sort of jumped in this on the tidal wave.
Yeah.
Luckily for
Yeah.
us, right? It's turned into a massive thing now. But
Yeah.
when we started our shows collectively was before it was. It's like quadrupled in size since we started doing this.
Yeah.
Now, when you were talking about feedback, so when people give you guys feedback, is it through? Do you look at the feedback through like social media comments and stuff like that, or are you talking about?
It's usually like private messages
Yeah,
Okay.
or word
sent
of
to
mouth,
me.
something like that.
Throughout people
Yeah.
that we know. I've actually had a surge of people reach out like, "Hey, listen to a few episodes. I
Wanna
like
be
what
on
you're
the show?"
doing." Yeah,
Yeah.
and then that's when I'm like, I appreciate it, but let me see what you're doing first.
Right.
Because I'm not just trying to have an open door to just like a random person that wants to come on.
Yeah,
you
for sure.
Yeah, and
Yeah, you
know.
develop a respect for your fan base, man,
Yeah.
and then you feel almost obligated to not, not
Yeah.
put something out there that you don't believe in yourself, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or it won't work,
Yeah,
right? Because if it's not authentic, and that's the thing with you guys knowing each other for so long, you can definitely tell there's an authenticity. It's just two dudes hanging out that really dig each other,
Yeah.
bromance going on, and you try to make each other laugh.
yeah,
And you both have sick senses of humor, so it's really like get the popcorn.
Yeah.
yeah.
Let's see what the fuck's going to happen here.
Yeah, and I'm surprised, and this could open a whole door of negativity, but I'm surprised nobody has, came at us like, man, that's fucked up what you
I think
said.
they'd be afraid to.
I mean,
You might talk about them next.
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I think if most people see that you guys are being genuine, there's
Yeah.
not much stake in making a dissidence with you guys, because what's the point? You guys are being who you are. They could find some other channel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
There's no point in them
Right.
talking
Yeah.
about that being offended by something. So you'll resonate and draw the crowd that you need to have.
Yeah,
And that's
The
how
fans
we
will
feel.
find you.
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
Now, we know some people recently that both of us know people. All of us, I think, I know
Are you
people.
cool if I go take a quick piss?
Yeah, go ahead, man. Jump.
Yeah, I got
Yeah.
a piece of Piss my pants.
Yeah, right?
But we know people that have started shows and maybe didn't even make it out the gate for the
Yeah.
first episode. Like I know way more of them than anybody that has any kind of semi regular thing. And it's so the point being is that it is really attainable, but and then doing it is a whole nother thing, and
Yeah.
then doing it regularly is yet again a whole nother thing.
Mm-hmm.
Compounded by things like the technical, but literally someone with an iPhone and a headset
Yeah.
and a Podbean account could go record a podcast. It's like that. It's that easy. It's
Yeah.
not that hard with bumper music and everything.
I think the hardest thing has been the conceptuality of things, the things that we talk about that we want to try to do or that we don't want to do,
Yeah.
or how we want to do things. Like those things are always more of a struggle to talk about and figure out, I think, than like the equipment,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
figuring
Yeah.
out how to move mics around or buying a mic or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just figuring out where your space is at and what you can live with doing like 2 times a week.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it can't be contrived. It can't be labor. It has to be fun, or we wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So there's a streamlining process to go through. It's like I ain't dealing with this bullshit, this bullshit,
Yeah.
this bullshit.
Yeah. And that's taken longer than figuring out how to
Yeah.
tweak any kind of, audio or video
Yeah.
or anything.
Yeah.
Which it never stops evolving.
Yeah.
Like that never stops.
The interface that I have now, like I know where, Greg and I's levels are, so that
Yep.
that cuts out
Yeah.
a lot of time. I just leave it right there.
Yeah.
We just press record and fucking go.
Go.
Yeah.
Eventually that part gets really easy, and then
Yeah.
all that's left is, like you said, when you're left alone with your thoughts, you'll be thinking, that show went really smooth. What can I do to capitalize on that
Yeah.
momentum?
What did I fucking do different this time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Five people from nowhere commented. That's weird.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. We just started getting some downloads in Poland.
No
that's
shit,
cool.
huh?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's what I like.
Doesn't
about
that trip you
Podbean.
out,
Yeah.
man?
Yeah.
Like, who
When-
the fuck's listening in
I feel
Poland?
like
all of a
those-
sudden, like, these
Those people are just like pick something at random that look good,
Yeah.
and they're just sticking with it, man.
Yeah.
That's cool too. They're
Yeah.
open for a new cast. They come across yours, any will do. That's fine.
Yeah, they're like, oh shit, that's how America gets down, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
for sure, right?
Yeah.
We have. I think our first one was Nikolai Zhenkov. Remember?
Well, that
Remember
we
his
talked
name?
to.
Yeah, no, that was someone from another country that was non-English speaking that started listening to the show, and then there's now there's German dude, there's
Yeah.
Lorenzo Scoti, there's like all of these people now. One of my buddies, that started watching the show from another country, likes it because he can get the subtitles
Yeah,
in YouTube.
that's cool.
And it helps him hear the word, see the word in English. So there's people that I don't know why they be listening to us to learn English, but they listen to us to better. So people listen to American podcasts to better their English speaking skills.
Yeah.
And if there's a benefit if there's an added benefit of entertainment, then all the better,
Yeah.
right? But that's not the primary purpose
'cause
of it.
I'll slide in some tongue twisters or some disassociated words that I've memorized. You know?
Yeah.
Hip Hop Anonymous.
Yeah, man. No. Check this out. Slip it to the wrong plug, slap the rotor to the beacher, stick it to the pinprick, got you down into the flat line, clap the matter to drop power, ripping it up into the stomp box, suckified ass man, tripping in the zone, dribble, triple in the white man's outlay capital. It's up now, screaming on a fat tomato with a scream grill lift off bigger than a car.
Yep.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
And
man.
he could
bars.
repeat that. Don't ask him to.
Yeah.
But he could repeat
I
that
can do that really
verbatim.
slow.
I love it.
Yeah, now I want to do it slow.
He's a freak. You're a freak.
Hey, we gotta stick
I can't
together.
say no.
We gotta stick together.
And I dig that about you. I'm not saying it in a bad way, man. Yeah, we got to stick to freaks of the world unite, motherfuckers.
Or you give him that tongue twister I like. A skunk sit on the stump, and the stump thought the skunk stunk, and the skunk thought the stump stunk.
So, yeah, he's got history teachers that ask him why he's not a physics major, too, which is an added benefit.
I have
right?
annoyed my astronomy teacher.
Historian seems like it'd be a pretty cool job, though.
What would?
Being a historian.
I'm working at Allstate.
Yeah.
But you're right. I think it would be awesome.
Right now, you're working for Allstate.
He's telling the customer where the origins of insurance came.
He does.
That's right.
They love him. He's very good on, as you can imagine. He's also very good on the phones. But that's you're like the. I'm gonna sit here and brag on you. Keep doing it, man. I apologize, but I love you, man.
Oh, I love
but like he's got this. He's done a lot of like phone work and things like that too. So it was really easy. It was actually easier for him on the microphone than me.
Oh yeah. Yeah, well, I was a psychic for 6 years, a professional psychic. That's where I was talking to you about that picture with Anton LaVey.
Oh, tell him that because he keeps telling me, that picture Kenny put up, that picture.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I don't think about what you know about something from an anthropological point of view until you realize, like, what you know. You're looking at a picture and you're like, oh, that's Anton LaVey, and that's his daughter, and he's doing a pinnacle ritual, and he's using a thar, which is representative of air, and he's opening the east gate, which is part of that ritual, and that represents fire, and the people behind him are sky-clad because that helps with the ritual. It's like... like all the ritual components, just one black and white photo.
Everybody
like,
knows that, right?
Yeah.
That's common
That's
fucking
actually
knowledge.
what I
isn't it?
used to think, man, that people just knew that shit. And then, like, when I put that on by the picture, then Forevermore Facebook's is like, oh, you want to hear more about the Golden Dawn or Aleister Crowley? I'm like,
For sure.
no, man, I heard about that for 6 years straight from people and stuff. Like,
He talks to me. He says, like in that particular instance, again with your picture, which he's talked about endlessly. So I'm glad you're here now. So kind of make that connection. But the Golden Dawn, he was talking to me like, oh, the Golden Dawn and the age, early age and out in California. And I'm over here going, yeah. And I'm thinking, I got no fucking clue what he's talking about. I'm hoping the context pops out here sooner or later. But this is my job. Stay out of the way. He's on a roll, man. Don't interrupt him. When the Germans invaded, bombed Pearl Harbor, fucking let him go.
Yeah, and I just shared it because I thought it was a dude fucking partying.
Yeah, that looked like a hell of a party, right?
Yeah.
It turns out, Kenny.
there was some real heavy shit going down there that night.
I mean,
Sign
like
me
some
up.
shit. Yeah,
I'm trying to party.
that's what I said. I said he put it up, and I went.
Yeah,
dot,
you
dot,
were-
dot. That looks like fun.
Yeah, like my next birthday party.
Yeah.
Yes, and we either want to be invited or we want pictures.
You guys put
that-
it together, and I'll show up.
Dude, I'll bring the rituals and the beer.
All right.
You might not want to say that.
Hey, I'm down for it.
Yeah, whatever happens, happens.
Yeah.
Dude, we weren't naked. We were skyclad.
Yeah.
There's a difference.
Yeah.
Man, much more respectable.
Just who's sitting on whose lap, right?
You got to get skyclad for Satan. That's what Satan needs. As the Chihuahua spins.
As the Chihuahua spins.
So,
Wait.
what kind of instruments do you guys play? A guitar, right?
Primarily guitar. I can play some drums, a little bit of bass,
Yeah.
some keyboard.
Dabbled in some drums and did vocals mainly.
Oh, okay,
But,
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, we actually after his band separated and I'd left my band that I was in, me, him, and Brandon, ex-co-host Brandon, tried to start something up. It didn't really go anywhere. We made a song, and I was kind of forced into drums for that.
Okay.
So that's how I, 'cause my friend Bo was supposed to play drums, and he was using the drums that I bought from him.
Right.
And he had other bands as well, so, ours kind of wasn't the priority. And so we just started fucking around at practice one day, and then I just kind of got forced into it. I've been
Yeah.
playing drums for like 6 months.
But he sounded good enough to keep a beat.
Yeah,
so.
I had to work hard for it, and we got a whole
Yeah.
song done, and then it kind of just fizzled out, and I was like, "What the fuck?"
Now I know
You know?
drums.
Now I know how to play drums, right?
Yeah, yeah. So I got the whole setup now, as far as like recording studio. Got the interface, the MacBook, the electric drums, guitar, bass, 3
I
microphones.
wouldn't mind that. Yeah.
Are you guys doing stuff then?
He's writing music.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting for him
never-ending
to send it
process.
to me, basically.
Yeah, your buddy Mike.
Mike Jones, yeah.
Yeah. He's been waiting
Shout out
on me
Mike
to get that.
Jones.
He's been waiting on me to get that one done. I mean, it's completely like finished, but it's just I don't have like a way to take
Yeah.
it to the next level to make it not sound like a demo. You know what I mean?
He went out and bought an interface.
Yeah.
And I know he's got but his daughter sings at one of those School of Rock type things.
Oh, cool.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She's like super heavily involved in that. And what's that big? They just got back. There's a big festival that they all go to. I can't think of the name of it now.
Was it out in like Arizona or something?
Yeah, Multi Music Day Fest. I can't remember the name of it, but I think they just got back from that.
One of my artist friends, I think, if that's the same one I'm thinking
Just
of.
did it.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah.
I mean, big festival. But so yeah, whenever you're ready, he's like he's got all the setup, the software, and all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff, and knows how to put that together. So yeah, let him know.
Yeah.
Nice.
He's like Anthony, that kind of
Yeah.
vocal type. I wouldn't say like Anthony. I mean, in that style of music, nobody's
Yeah.
like Anthony.
Yeah.
Fucking nobody. You know,
I enjoyed
but
sitting in on that whole recording
Isn't he
session
cool,
that you
dude?
guys did. Yeah.
He's coming in. He's going to be back in the studio. The delay, even for you guys, has been, getting everything, put back together here.
Yeah.
And, this dry run so that we can start doing guests again. We're still reserved on doing remote guests.
Yeah.
Because it's going to require us, for me, because I won't do it now because of the video component. We have to have the video component. So
Yeah.
the remote guest also has to have video, Skype,
Yeah.
because I'm going to put them on the show, right? And so
That'd be cool.
it is, but it has to get recorded somehow and somehow
Yeah.
married into the video of the show. So there's a dedicated machine that's got to get committed
Yeah.
to that. Then there's interfacing it with both the microphones, the soundboard, and Skype.
Yeah.
I pull, because we record the audio and the video separate, and then they get married back together in post-production so that you can process the audio the way you want to, so it sounds good. It's not just dry mics. So
Yeah, he puts a lot of work into it.
fuck, man, it gets involved. So that's still, we're only doing in-studio guests right now until I get that down and I feel confident that we could do a guest justice.
Yeah.
And then it has a limiting factor too on the guests themselves because they have to have decent internet access
Yeah.
now. Like everything just takes the stakes up a whole nother level, kind of thing. So anyway, I don't mean to be bitching, but that's sort of where
We
we're
totally get it because that's where we're at. Basically, we're still trying to get our little back office area room, whatever you want to call it, all set up to where we can start having guests and
That's
they're all comfortable and
Right.
stuff too.
That's a struggle.
Don't want them
Feel
sitting
bad
on the
for
floor.
us to do this thing that we love to do, right?
Yeah.
It's a love, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
because what's the motivating factor? Fucking, it ain't the money.
Yeah.
What is it? You know?
I
It's the joy.
yeah, and
I find
it
a lot of joy in it.
gives you a reason to sit down with your friend and
have a
their
one-on-one
mind.
conversation.
yeah.
Yeah.
I find it cathartic for sure.
yeah.
I get to express things and talk about shit that most people wouldn't care about.
Yeah.
When he first asked me to be on the show, I was like, who would want to talk to me? Listen to me talk, man.
Yeah.
He had to ask me 4 or 5 times,
Yeah.
man. And
He goes, what would we talk about? I said, dude, we'll just rap. It'll be cool.
Yeah.
What would we talk about? What would we talk about?
Yeah.
Eric.
Now look at you guys.
Right?
do you know anyone to be on the show? Not really.
Yeah.
Actually, well, I guess I did know a lot of people.
Yeah, pretty much every one of our first guests was someone he knew personally, from like game designers, authors, all this kind of crazy musicians.
and, my professors and stuff. And
Wide variety of
Yeah.
professions.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's why I like those dudes in Hope Dealers, because they all have their own
like it's an eclectic mix.
their
Yeah.
own subdivision of friends and artistic people within the community.
When you had the two of them on at the same time,
Chris and Jared.
yeah, that was funny too, because you
Yeah.
can tell those fuckers have been through some battle together. You know, they've been out there
Yeah.
in the trenches together because there was no punches pulled.
Yeah,
The way those two talk to each other.
yeah. They've all known each other for a good
long
amount of
time. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and there's a familial love. It's like, you're not my friend anymore. Sometimes I fucking hate you, but
Yeah.
you're my
Yeah, yeah.
brother, so I'm gonna love you
Yeah.
forever, kind
Yeah.
of thing. After a while of that kind
That's
of
that
stuff,
band
yeah.
life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It happened. Band of
Yeah.
brothers, right?
Yeah.
It happens. It's just sort of, I think it's baked into the human condition.
Yeah. I haven't talked to majority of the ones that I was in a band with, but I still consider them that way.
That way, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, when
It's definitely-
it's interesting when you have those kind of life experiences. First of all, getting on a stage with a bunch of people or a couple people and making noise that everyone, in front of other people's
Yeah.
for their enjoyment and or critique is painfully hard to do.
Yeah.
And when you've done that with somebody else, it's kind of like jujitsu bonds too.
Yeah.
When you've simulated murder with people, you form a weird
Yeah.
relationship with
Yeah.
them that you don't form otherwise.
Yeah.
And when you do things like this, or you're in a band or whatever, you form bonds with people that, unless you've done it, you don't get it.
Yeah.
There's no
Yeah.
way to understand it.
That's a good way of putting it, honestly.
My favorite thing is when you're in a band, you go to a different state for the first time to play a show, and everyone's kind of just looking at you like you're outcasts.
Right.
Because you're not like
Who
the
the
same
fuck
style
are
of
you?
music.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that happened with us. We went to West Virginia one time. Yeah.
Oh, that's good enough
Yeah.
said. No, I'm kidding. Go ahead.
And so we played in this weird fucking, it was like an auditorium at like a
Weird
school.
in West Virginia.
Yeah, exactly.
Do carry on. Yeah.
So right from the front row all the way to the back, it was like the old school, like the wooden seats that fold down with the
yeah.
curved backs.
Yeah, yeah.
And it just, each row was like that. So it was just kind of, there was no
like
standing
gym
area.
auditorium.
Yeah,
kind of
but
thing,
it wasn't attached to like a school or anything. It was just kind of its own deal. And everyone was just kind of like looking at us. It felt really awkward and weird. And Chris, the guitarist, he, I think broke 2 of his strings on his guitar. He was the lead guitarist, so we had to switch guitars. So I'm over here playing like half the rhythm because it's missing half the string. So he could, and since he was playing so hard and fucked up his strings, his fingers bleeding, so he's getting blood all over my guitar. Yeah, so
You're like, this is not
Yeah.
good, huh?
so we leave, and there's snow all over everyone's cars. I'm fucking putting dicks on their windshields and stuff. Yeah, I was pretty pissed about the whole experience. I mean, it was cool that I got to go with my friends
Yeah.
to West Virginia, but the whole experience was just bullshit, really. But it is what it is. You're gonna have those days.
Road stories.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just another version of a sea story or whatever,
Yeah.
right? They're all just fun, interesting, noteworthy life experiences, sometimes tragic
Yeah.
life experiences.
Yeah,
But yeah, there's definitely a brotherhood that forms from doing that.
Yep.
That you don't get otherwise. You taking off?
I'm waiting like 2 minutes.
Okay. He's getting ready to split. Okay.
Speaking of building the bonds, so my old drummer from that same band, his name is Chance Duffy. We were at this graduation party for our vocalist at the time, high school graduation, and we had this dude's house. I didn't know who it was. He was related to Ron, and he's like talking about everybody better be able to handle their shit, or you got to leave, you know, because we're all drinking and all that stuff. And I was only a couple years into my drinking game at that point in time. You know, I don't drink anymore, but
Preconditioning the story,
it
folks.
it was one of those things. Like, that's why I don't like drinking. Really, is because it's like I didn't drink just to, you know, like social thing. I was getting fucking drunk. You know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to get blacked out. So, anyways, I can handle my shit because I was used to it. And my friend Chance, like, he's a lightweight, little skinny dude, and he's drinking, starts to get sick and all that stuff. Like, he is hungry. We're all eating chips. And so I hand him a handful of chips, and he just bends down and eats it out of my hand. So I'm laughing.
No.
Yeah, and he's like starting to like lean over on people because he's like starting to black out a little bit. So he gets up, and he's not looking too good. And this other dude that's laying on the floor is like starting to talk shit to him, like calling him a pussy because he can't handle his shit. So Chance starts puking.
Oh, no.
I catch it.
Oh, God.
Because the guy said, if we can't handle our shit, we got. I don't know where the fuck we're at.
Yeah.
I don't know if this dude's really going to kick us out. It's fucking winter.
Yeah.
Or no, graduation. It was in the summer. I lied to you guys. Sorry.
Okay.
But I remembered it being cold for some reason, probably because that's what, you know, drinking is. Darkness. Cold.
Partial memory.
Yeah. So I'm.
Are you taking off?
I have to go. I want to say goodbye to you guys.
Okay.
All right. Nice meeting you.
Yeah, he's dipping. See you, Bubba.
So I'm catching his shit. Not shit. His
It's
puke.
puke.
So we go into the bathroom, and he's puking in the toilet. Somebody's pissing in the sink. Somebody's pissing in the shower. It's just a
lot of
fucking
pissing.
mess. And so we go back
We are
out.
so getting thrown out of here.
Yeah. And so the dude that was laying on the floor talking shit about my friend not being able to handle his shit, he starts puking. So they're like, hey, why don't you go catch his? I'm like, I don't fucking know that guy. You know what I mean?
You catch his puke.
Yeah.
I got a strict one puke count limit
right.
per day.
Yeah. No, dude, it was so gross. And it was like I didn't think, hey, catch his puke. It was just a natural fucking
Right.
reaction. It was so gross.
You still tried a little bit though.
Yeah.
You know,
You took a little
Yeah.
sip.
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah,
God.
I'm lapping it up a little bit like a
That's it.
dog. Yeah.
Yeah, we had Red Lobster earlier. I mean,
Yeah.
let that shit go to
Yeah.
waste.
Those
Damn, that's
recycled
some
chips.
lobster bisque.
Yeah.
Oh, it's warm.
Yeah.
Killing half the listeners right there.
I apologize. I should have said it was going to get graphic.
It's all right.
Yeah, it was definitely an experience.
We enjoy the stories of other people's pain and suffering.
Yeah.
That's one of the things we do find humorous in common, extremely humorous, is fail videos and stories of things we've seen that
Oh yeah.
people have either hurt themselves really bad or destroyed things or whatever.
My favorite is the 30-minute compilation of bulls destroying people.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the best,
So
right?
why would you mess with
Right?
it?
Why? When you
16 to 2,000 pounds, 200.
Yeah.
and you're like,
10 times. Yeah, what could go wrong?
Yeah.
Especially when it's got horns that aren't even like corked or nothing.
Right.
Like, man, fuck that.
Yeah.
Corked.
I'd be a little bit more inclined if it was like chopped off or something.
Put a fucking wine cork on it or
Yeah.
something. I mean, goddamn.
gotta blame those Minoans for that too.
With a saw. Blunt them bitches.
Fuck that. I don't even like being around big, nice animals just because they're so much bigger, you know?
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, even at the zoo, like, you see a big buffalo or something and it's not held in by much, and you're like, I don't know about all that.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep my distance. Last time we went to the zoo, it was my first time going in my adult life. And we were at the hyena area.
Okay.
And this lady was like talking to us, talking about the hyenas. And I'm like, oh, can I jump in there and play with it a little bit? And she's like, oh, no, you don't want to do that. I was like, yeah, sure, I'll take it home, let it play with the kids. And she got the hell out of there. I was making her so uncomfortable.
That's what I'm talking about. People can't handle it.
Yeah.
Most people can't
Yeah.
handle it.
And I just thought it was funny because that's like how my dad is. Like,
Yeah.
his sense of, like,
I'm the same way, right? Yeah, I know.
It's just, that's the humor I grew up around.
If you
So I think
can't-
it's just hilarious.
If you can't abuse your children, why fucking have them?
Yeah.
They might as well get a 6 sense of humor. It helps.
Yeah.
You got to be able to laugh at shit or you ain't going to make it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Just be grumpy all the time.
That's why I can't wait to get old. You know, it's like I said, being a dickhead, curmudgeon to people.
Oh, you feel like you have like a justification because of
Yeah.
the age thing?
Yeah, well, I was way more of a hothead back when I was, teenager.
Oh, we all
that
were,
comes
right.
with the territory, but
Young,
you
dumb,
know.
full of cum kind of thing. Ugh.
yeah. But I don't know. It just feels like it's one of those stereotypes. Oh, he's just a grumpy old man. I could just be an asshole and say it's because I'm old, but I really
Yeah.
just think
I'm
it's hilarious.
senile.
You know what I mean? Yeah, you fucking kids.
I don't even
Get the
remember
fuck
what
outta
I
here.
did the past 2 hours.
Yeah.
You know, it's a Darwinism or whatever you want to call it. That natural selection process, though, is highly important.
Yeah.
I mean, some of us,
yeah.
but some of us beat the system and shouldn't be here.
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
I feel like
we
it's
learn
school.
just enough to go, oh, wait a minute. Right, but we're not really giving much to the gene pool anymore. You know?
Yeah, I passed by the skin of my teeth.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Sort of
Yeah.
diluting the overall. I keep saying it, man. The gene pool needs a little more chlorine. Just a little
Yeah.
more chlorine.
That's where the coronavirus comes from.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it
That's
is.
why it's
and the-
making its way over here.
The R virus too.
Yeah.
You guys ever? I mean, is it ironic, or is that even the right definition of the word? However, that if man is responsible for things like global warming, and I'm not arguing whether they are or not. That's not the point.
Yeah.
How ironic it is then that if that's true, that the melting ice has built in it a mechanism to wipe us the fuck out.
Yeah.
So that we quit
Yeah,
doing
that's
it.
crazy.
Like there's a governor that's built into the ecology. And is that just a terrible accident, or is that the sort of the Earth's been through this how many times before, right?
That's
And
just human frailty, man. It's not necessarily specifically built in. It's just
It's ironic though,
well,
right?
it's just
Yeah.
the most changes
Isn't it?
kill us. Like
We're frail.
Any
Yeah.
drastic
Yeah.
changes is going to kill us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Few
it's true.
degrees.
We'll push the change quicker than we could adapt.
Yeah.
I just think it's interesting that there could be this shit that's bubbling. We've been talking about these viruses that has no DNA structure like we've
Oh, yeah.
ever seen before, and they're finding this shit now with the permafrost melting and all of this kind of stuff that's happening.
Yeah.
And it's like, what if there's like a mechanism in here that's like, oh, too many humans,
Yeah.
reset, and it just fucking wipes us back to.
Neolithic times.
Well, what they say that they can through DNA now, they think they can trace humankind back to an extinction event that reduced
Oh, wow.
it down to like 20 breeding pairs.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's fucking everybody
Yeah.
but 40 people
Yeah.
on the planet. That's
Hopefully
a-
you find the right person.
Yeah.
That's a mass extinction
Yeah, it
event,
is.
right?
Yeah.
And now that's not. I mean, more people lived, but back to 20 breeding pairs.
Yeah.
So there could have been places, whatever, like you're saying that only one person made it.
Yeah.
Well, too
Yeah.
fucking bad.
And I'm sure the lifespans back then weren't as
Like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically like a gnat.
Old
Like a
enough,
fly.
basically old enough to have children, and
Yeah.
then you die in childbirth, and hopefully you had twins.
Yeah.
So propagate the species a little more. Yeah, you're right. Do you think that the humans were more robust, more rugged then though? Because
certainly the Neanderthals were.
but they didn't live near as long.
Oh no, only about 40 years old. That would have been pretty old for anybody from Neolithic times up to ancient Egyptian times.
Yeah.
So anywhere between like 10,000 BC to 1,000 BC.
Yeah. We're gonna do an article here real soon, probably the next show that we do, like our regular show,
Yeah.
about I haven't gotten too deep into it, but the thing that's pathetic about all of this, and Eric and I talk about this all the time, is how there are already technologies that exist today. Engineers and scientists have already built it
Yeah.
that would make all of this, whether it's causing the planet to rise or not, it would at least take this equation off the table. Like you could omit that, like, right? So, but nobody will do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that gives you that gives you all the information you need to know about who's driving the bus.
Yeah.
Seems to be a problem.
It's the
anymore.
ones making fuckloads of money right
Yeah.
now. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how it all works.
And the international governmental bodies are not as robust as the science. It's hard to get everyone to agree and
Right.
move things around and transport, deploy.
Yeah, because the
and-
science is sort of done.
Yeah.
Like it's there, and I don't mean from the standpoint of whether it's man-made climate change or not. That's not what I'm talking about. I mean, like in the mechanisms that can already start and begin to completely fix this.
Yeah.
I've already
Like if it's carbon, we can fix that already.
Yeah.
You know,
and I'm a fan of the mini apocalypse, so I ain't too worried if we fix it.
because he's got them fucking caveman genes.
I know,
Yeah.
just anything like the rapture of electronic equipment, having a coronal mass ejection, and then after that happens, all the electronic instruments are gone. It's like they were raptured.
Like a giant EMP blink.
Could you imagine?
Yeah.
Fucking chaos that would
That'd be
that would
nuts.
ensue
Yeah.
after if
Martial
everybody's
law.
electronic devices just quit.
Yeah. I think we'd see that caveman DNA come out real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
Good
there's
stuff.
we say that, but there's a culture that lives among us here
true.
that lives without electronic devices whatsoever,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and they wouldn't even fucking know
Yeah.
that something happened.
Yeah.
They just see a bunch
just-
of cars driving across their yard.
They'd be like, all the lights went out, and then everything caught on fire.
Yeah.
Right on.
What the fuck's going on over there?
And now all these
'Cause
city
they're
folks are
shoveling-
asking us how to live.
Hey. Yeah, then they come to us.
Yeah.
How Ugg make grow?
Well, thanks to Wuhan, we still have a chance.
Wuhan.
Yeah, it's the the virus, the coronavirus.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know it was called Wuhan.
Oh, that's
Or it's
where
because
they
it's from
centered
the-
at
China.
Yeah, in that city. And there's about 500 cases in Korea, I think now, and some other places. Like it's getting close to being a pandemic
Oh, goody.
under definitions.
That's from eating.
And this is the
food
record
with
we choose
the
to
virus,
leave.
right?
What is it?
That's like from eating certain types of animals with the virus.
Well, it's got to hit enough countries.
No,
for
no,
it
no.
to
He's
be-
asking how
like,
it's transmitted.
yeah, like how
how's it
it started.
transmitted?
They don't know for sure, but it's got like this huge eclipse phase, which is abnormal. It's related to the virus of the common cold, but the eclipse phase is the time between which your body is infected. You can transmit it, but you haven't had any symptoms.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like
wow.
for most people,
Yeah,
that's
that is a bad one.
that's usually like 5-7 days, right? That you might spread it, but it has like a 14-day eclipse phase. So
Yeah.
they're still trying to catch up because every day exponentially increases the amount
Yeah.
of people that could particularly be infected. So they haven't actually caught up with the real-time data yet. It's still popping up in other countries, and after so many countries, it'll be a pandemic.
Yeah. And then there ain't no stopping it.
Yeah.
The thing is it's not lethal to everyone yet.
Right.
It hasn't reached those kinds of levels, but it is absolutely killing people.
Yeah, infection
Oh, yeah.
rate high, lethality not so high.
Yeah, but if you have any kind of, it seems like from what I understand, it seems to
Prey on the young and the old and the people with,
with-
conditions that
like
It's airborne,
congestion.
isn't it?
They think it could be, but they're not really sure.
Sure yet. Yeah,
Yeah, that's fucking crazy.
it's nuts. Yeah, how frail we are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard Neil deGrasse Tyson say this one time that if you made the Earth the size of a basketball and you rubbed your finger across it, the highest mountain peak on the planet would be imperceptible to your touch.
Wow.
That's the thin veneer of existence that we all live inside of. This thin, super thin layer of breathable air,
Yeah, or nothing.
or not, or death, or instant death. That's
Yeah.
what we live inside of.
And the only reason that's there is because of the spinning inner core that creates the magnetic field that keeps the solar
That keeps
wind
it
from
there,
blowing
yeah.
away.
Yeah.
Otherwise, that would be gone, just like what happened with Mars. It
That's why I
lost
get all
its
freaked
spin.
out when I hear the North Pole's moving around. I'm
Right?
like, that motherfucker's about to stop,
Didn't that
bitches.
do that 2 years ago?
Yeah, but I'm worried it's all going to be like, and then the solar wind's just
Yeah.
going to go, and we're done, like
Yeah.
vaporized.
That'd be instant.
Either frozen or boiled instantly. Yeah, like it was me. I kicked the table quickly.
We're over here making noise on this side, hitting shit.
I tell you,
Isn't
man, it
there
was
a
a good
movie?
show though.
Isn't there a movie about that
Oh,
with like
the-
Nicolas Cage or something like
Probably
that?
a bunch of
Probably.
them,
Where,
like
solar-
numbers,
Yeah.
like where he predicts that like this event's going to happen or some shit.
Yeah, and it turns out to be like a solar flare, something like that. I always
We-
thought that'd be insane.
We
Yeah.
read an article
Be fun.
about
Yeah.
like some DARPA shit where they were talking about how they could enhance soldiers' optics. Specifically, gives them the ability to thrive in places like vast underground urban environments. And he and I went, what the fuck are they developing that? Like, where is this vast underground urban environment that they're training or they're developing this technology for? So, I'm not sure those Georgia Guidestones and all that shit's too far off. Sometimes I wonder if someone knows something the rest of us don't.
Getting them ready for the Space Force. So
Yeah,
they can
right.
See out in the space.
Yeah, it's super low light levels and things.
It's great to have a Space Force.
Yeah.
Especially when it's so heavily leveraged off of Star Trek.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's all fantasy.
You never know.
I'm down with
How far are we?
fantasy.
Oh, shit. We're almost 2 hours here, guys.
Oh, wow.
Do you mind if we start wrapping up? I mean, we can do this again. This is fun as
Yeah,
fuck,
it's fun.
right?
Yeah. I enjoyed myself.
Do we need to do... I know we talked about where they can find the show and all that kind of stuff. Is there anything else promo-wise we need to hit for you guys?
Or did you want to talk about the MMA at all, or?
You got anything to... Ooh, breaking news? Do we have breaking news?
I mean, we are going to be having a MMA type podcast as well. where we
Is it
talk
going
about-
like a fight companion type thing? Have you got? Is that what you're doing? Like,
Sort of.
okay,
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not going to go on while the fights are happening. It's going to be like one before, like our
Projections,
thoughts,
yeah.
and stuff like that. We'll have like a game that we play where we both pick who's going to win, what round they win, and how they win.
oh, you're gonna keep score.
Yeah.
Yeah, and basically,
oh, that'll be fun.
Yeah, have it like in intervals, like who won this quarter.
Yeah.
You know, and if
Yeah.
fans wanted to get in on it, they could as well.
I like that.
But-
Yeah, you could run polls and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, to see how the fans' choices line up with
Yeah.
your choices
Yeah.
and stuff on Facebook and things. That could be fun.
And that's what we were thinking, just, make it interactive. And
Now,
Yeah.
is this still going to fall under the same? Is it going to just be part of Thought Dump, or are you going to spin off
No.
another
It's
show?
gonna be a whole.
yeah,
its own
that's
show.
cool.
Yep.
Yep. Cause we posted a couple of them on Thought Dump, like kind of test run.
To see how it would go. That's right, you did. Yeah.
Yep. And
Yep.
then, because we were, back and forth about if it was going to be its own podcast or if we were going to do it.
It's easier with a subject, isn't it?
Yeah. So we were brainstorming all night about different names.
Yeah.
Can't even tell you how it went, and we came up with one, but
Gotta buy the.
yeah, Greg's,
Got to buy the URL, so
Yeah.
don't say what it
Yeah,
is
yeah.
or any of that shit. Yeah,
He's,
yeah.
gonna-
Don't even look it up.
Yeah.
Until you're ready to pull
Yeah.
the trigger.
Yeah.
Fuck.
So he's going to be the main showrunner on that. So I'm going to be kind of the co-host.
Co-host.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
fun.
So
Yeah.
we kind of switched
That's
a little
cool.
bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be nice, huh?
Yep.
Yeah.
But it's all going to be out of the same place. Keep it all simple and easy, and
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yep.
So there's going to be some announcements coming soon then.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
okay, so let's do that if you guys don't mind, like when you get ready to launch it or after you've launched it, we'll do a thing again,
Yeah,
you
that'd be great.
Yep. And he's also going to do a donut eating world record.
Yeah, I haven't
We-
forgot.
yeah.
I
about
heard
that.
about right. That was on another show. You
Yeah.
said you made claim you can.
I think I can.
Yeah,
you
we're-
think you can break
Yeah, I'm
it
Yep.
pretty
We're
sure
going
I
to
can.
film it and put it up and everything. And,
without puking?
Oh yeah, I love donuts.
yeah.
I got a
Well,
I got a
you
6
won't
pack
after.
and then a 40
Yeah,
pack
yeah.
of Timbits on Friday.
Oh my God!
Dude, I've seen him put down like a quart of ice cream, one of those tubs you get from like a convenience store. Just one night, he just yeah.
Now
Yeah.
there's got to be a time limit on how long you can.
I think it was nine powdered donuts in 3 minutes.
Yeah, that's the record right
Yeah,
now.
the world record.
Oh, you're going that
Yeah,
way,
can't-
not the most eight in a. Okay,
Yep, can't,
you
he
might.
can't lick his lips, have a drink, or nothing.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Yeah.
go for a baker's
Powdered.
dozen.
Yeah, yeah.
Baker's dozen's what I'm shooting.
Yeah.
for.
Oh, there's gonna
Alright.
be video of this shit, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, I want to watch this too.
Yeah.
I'll put a tarp down on the ground just in case.
Ooh, cliffhangers. Okay, let's leave that. We'll leave it on that because that's going to be fun as shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so stay tuned for that, folks.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Thanks for listening, everybody. Check us out at www.noshitcast.com. It's KNOWSHITCAST.com. Make sure you hit those like and subscribe buttons. Give us a share. We greatly appreciate it. Keep the comments coming, and we will catch you all next time. Thanks for listening, everyone. Bye, Siggles.
See ya.
That was a good show. Fun as shit.